Hello and welcome to Poker Night Live. I'm Kara Scott, and with me here is Cass. We are going to be taking you through the poker universe for the rest of this evening. 4 hours of pure poker gold.
Poker universe.
Cool. The poker universe. Everything relates to poker, as they will soon find out.
In 4 hours.
Oh yes, absolutely everything. Now, this is a live and interactive show. You know how it works if you've been watching for some time. You send us your emails and your texts and let us know what your thoughts are. Poker in general, questions about your own home games, about strategy, about anything that you see on the program tonight. We're going to be taking a look at tournaments and cash games, multi-table tournaments as well. So anything that strikes your fancy, you let us know here in the studio. And there's a couple of ways to get in touch with us here in the studio. The first one is to text us on 62211. Or if you'd like to send us an email and send us your thoughts, that's the address right there, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. And of course, you can always have your say. 0906 200 7080. You could even sing a little song like Tragic Trev did. I think someone tried to send us in a theme song for something, which is great.
Try being the operative word.
Well, I liked it. It made me laugh.
I liked it. I liked it.
Yes.
I liked it.
We liked it, but if you are going to phone the number, do remember to get permission because there is a small charge for that. Now, we've got a few games for people to look at today. Shall we take a look around the tables?
Let's take a look around the tables. It's a cash game first.
Ooh, oh.
25.50 cents. We very rarely start with a cash game, don't we? We should have more starting with the cash games, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah, it breaks up the monotony.
Good to know your thoughts on the matter.
And look, not a cash game, but a tournament. Single table tournament. $10. And this is a $2 single table tournament. That's just coming to an end, isn't it? We're not going to see any of that, I don't think.
I would doubt it.
Pointless.
And that would be the multi-table, wouldn't it? I can tell because of its greed.
Oh, that is a giveaway, yeah.
Yeah.
That is the multi-table. So yeah, that is 4 tables of Poker Universe for you.
Poker joy.
Universe. I reckon, I wonder how many tables there are in the Poker Universe right now.
Oh, wow.
Seriously, how many?
No, I agree. I would think got to be tens of thousands.
I'll tell you what, why don't we have a little competition tonight? Get your answers in, text or email. How many tables are there in the Poker Universe? Online and live, of course. And the person who comes closest, the right answer wins a prize.
Yeah, but how are we supposed to know what the right answer is?
Because they'll tell us.
And if it sounds right, then if it feels right?
Well, if it is right. The person who comes closest.
It makes no sense,
Trust me, it'll work. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
I think it's a wonderful idea.
Genius.
And I'd like to know. Personally, I think there's about 10,254.
Chris Evans used to encourage all to do that. 10,254. That's pretty good. Now I'm going to have 10,255, and then anything above that, and I'm a winner. You see, Chris Evans used to encourage all his members of staff to come up with an idea a day. So there's mine. So I'm going to write some emails.
And I'm going to finish presenting the show.
Okay.
I'm going to be on later today as well doing the Beat the Presenter slot. So hopefully I win not just this little competition here, but that as well. So you're going to have to stay tuned and watch for that. I'll be playing under a bit of a pseudonym. Haven't decided whose yet.
It's mine, because I'm the only one with any money.
Yes, but it's not my fault that my account has no money. One of the other presenters used up all my money.
Who? Who?
Can I say? Dr. Tom did.
Dr. Loser Tom.
Oh! That's awful.
He'll hate that.
He will hate that.
He will really hate that.
That's not fair.
It's me getting my own pack.
Okay, then. Right, let's go.
I'm expecting a text.
Yeah, I can imagine. I imagine we'll get quite a few. All right, let's take a look at the multi-table tournament and get straight into the action. Right.
So what's going on here, then?
Oh, this would be a multi-table tournament.
All right.
It differs from a single-table tournament in that there are, I don't know, many tables. Multi being the operative word there.
Fantastic. So how many tables are there in this universe?
In this universe, we've got 23 tables. I think that might be just now, though. Let's see what they started with. I'm not entirely sure.
Something more than that.
Something more than that.
Oh,
but we
okay.
did start with 255, so if you could divide that by 8 for me nice and quick, then we would know how many tables we have. But I can't do that in my head very quickly.
There are supposed to be about 270 or maybe now 300 poker skins, but they feed through to about 8, no, maybe more than that.
Poker skins
15, 16 back ends. Oh, so, okay, here's how online poker works.
Okay.
Right? You think of it in two different stages. There are back ends and there are skins.
Right.
Okay. So the skins are like marketing exercises, really. You can see a skin in front of us here. It's a brand name that you click on, you go to in the web, and that takes you through to a selection of poker tables. Now, some of those skins have their own back end, their own back end, right? So they own the technology that controls the game, the software, if you like. Some of those skins are just skins that get through to back ends which are communal. So you could have 4, 8, 12, 15, 30 skins going through to one back end.
Okay.
And all the players, that's why there can be thousands of players all playing in one place.
Gotcha.
And they've all come to it through different skins.
Yeah.
So the amazing thing about online poker now is that it's proliferating, so fast because there are so many skins setting up all over the place. Every Tom, Dick and Harry has his own skin, even the devilfish.
Ah.
He won't like that either.
No?
I'm expecting a lot of text tonight.
You are just being controversial. Courting the controversy.
Good.
Now, I think, let's see. I think I'm looking at the right multi-table tournament here. Hopefully it's the one that we're all looking at in front of us. Now, I was telling you about the multi-table tournaments. In fact, they are different not only just in that there are many tables, but also the blind structure is a bit different to give them a bit more play for the chips that they have there in front of them. Yeah, they don't double every 10 minutes as it would do, or every 10 hands as it would do on a single table tournament. So it's a bit of a different strategy. Also, the payment structure is a bit different because there are so many people entering these sorts of tournaments. 30 places are actually paid in this one, I believe.
30 places?
Yep, 30 places, in fact. And it goes all the way from, say, $17.85 all the way up to $701 for first prize. So there you go. It's not a bad return for a $10 entry.
Do you know, I'm really happy at the moment.
Are ya? I'm glad. I can feel the waves of happiness just emanating off of you.
I've just been brought a Krispy Kreme donut.
Oh, why didn't I ask for a Krispy Kreme donut?
I mean, you really should have.
I know I should have.
Because I'm going to be honest with you now.
You're not going to share?
No.
Damn it.
You can't share a Krispy Kreme, can you? It's not that kind of thing.
No, it really isn't.
It's all very well you opening your little box of cookies, but
My little box of cookies. It's a large box of cookies.
It's not the same, is it?
No, it's really not.
Queens versus Ace Jack. What's the likelihood the Ace Jack's going to win, Cara?
Not so likely.
It's about 30%.
All right, then. I'm glad that you answered that for me.
It's okay. But look, they're in the blinds, so poor little King 2 doesn't know what he's flying into, the silly flying hat.
Silly little flying hat.
Not little.
Oh. And there's Johan Heron, one of our old favourites there. Carp catcher. Let's see, who else do we recognise? Wabbits.
Wabbits? Never seen Wabbits before?
No?
No.
I like Wabbits, just the name, Wascally.
Should have taken that left to Albuquerque. Queen 10 in that position. Would you be raising that, Cara, or would you fold it like the trash it is?
Where was the Queen 10?
Queen 10, double top, first position, first seat, seat 1. Not first position, seat 1.
No, I'd have folded that.
You should.
Thank you very much. See, if I'm going to be playing next hour, I suppose I need this sort of thing. I've not been aggressive enough.
Oh, really? You don't think you're being aggressive? Oh, I'll soon beat that out of you, or into you. I don't know which way it goes. Ace Jack raising it up from first position. Now he's just put a third of his stack in on Ace Jack in first position. As it happens, he's got the best hand. Would you be doing it, Cara?
Ace Jack? Probably not, no. Not early on, no.
No need. No need. You've got more than 10 blinds, 10 big blinds in your stack.
Yeah.
No need to take risks.
That's a bit of a big bet as well. I mean, 3 times a big blind is sort of a standard raise. Don't know what he's doing there, personally.
No, it's a 4 times a big blind bet in first position with Ace Jack.
Yeah, position is something I'm trying to think more about in my next tournament, personally. Position, position, position.
Do you know what I think? My concern about that is that you think about position to the detriment of other things in the same way that people think about cards to the detriment of other things.
Right.
I know it's boring, and I know we sound like government policy encouraging joined-up thinking, but it's important to think about the totality.
Yes.
The totality of things.
I know.
Johan then, not wanting to play a flop with a pair of 9s. That's a very weird move for Johan to make. Johan's an experienced player, and to bet, 15 times the big blind with a pair of 9s. What you're saying there is if someone's got a better hand, they're going to call and they're going to take down your pair of 9s. So why would you jeopardise your entire future in this tournament to win 225 Chips.
The risk does not. The risk exceeds the reward. It's a bad ratio. See, I pick up all the buzzwords here.
Absolutely.
It makes it easier to sound like I know what I'm talking about. If I can just talk in buzzwords.
Buzzword talk. It's like unspeak. Isn't it, in 1984?
Yes, it is, in fact. Very Orwellian of you. That was my favourite book growing up. I was a bit of a sad child.
What a weirdo.
I know! Yep, Brave New World and 1984. Very sad.
Do you know my favourite? In Cold Blood.
Really? That's a good one. Very scary.
Have you read it?
I read voraciously as a child, and I still do.
Is it good?
Yes.
I haven't read it.
Really?
No.
God, you're such a liar. You just said it was your favourite book. I thought it was amazing.
Is it good, really?
It really is good. In fact, they say it changed the landscape of literature.
Why?
Worldwide. Because it was the first real true crime novel. So it was a novel, but it was based on a true story, and it wrote about a subject that people really hadn't done before.
Interesting. Ace Jack in first position, raises it up 3 times the big blind.
Huh.
Ace Jack suited this time, 3 times the big blind, so it's not Ace Jack and it's not fourth position, and Gilberto has a slightly bigger stack, so we can forgive him for all those reasons, but you know what? I'm still throwing it away.
Yeah. I wouldn't have done it.
I really am. I'm throwing it away.
Yeah.
And this is, it's so important to not feel under pressure to play cards like that.
Yeah, don't let your starting standards slide. That's what people do.
But I tell you what, you know, we're ignoring the bigger crime, which is old Kev, who raised with Ace Jack last time, calling a first position raise with Queen King.
Ugh.
Nick Wellthall wouldn't call a first position raise with Ace Queen on the button.
Really?
No, let alone Queen King.
Well, if Nick wouldn't do it,
position.
if Nick wouldn't do it, then I just don't know what they're thinking.
Nick is very tight sometimes. Nick has some quite idiosyncratic tight plays. I'm not saying that's necessarily one of them. But
no, when before I did my very first Beat the Presenter tournament, I asked him to send me an email of some tips, and it was to play as tightly as I could, because then I probably wouldn't go out first. And it worked. It hasn't really helped me win, although I did come in the money at one point, but...
OK, well then tonight I'm going to give you a different challenge.
Yeah? Okay.
Tonight I want you to play loose.
But see, everyone's watching and listening, and now they're not going to have a clue what I'm doing.
That's right.
Which is not a bad thing.
That's right.
Okay, I might play loose then.
Good, loosen up.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
You've made the money, yes?
I have done, yeah.
Cool.
I really enjoyed it.
Well, that's
I
more than Mark.
love... Yeah, well...
Sorry, Mark, I'm joking. Joking.
Send your text into 62211.
Mark won the presenters tournament, so he's allowed all the latitude he wants. I didn't win the presenters tournament, so it's very important for me to try and prove myself online. Anyway, the point that I'm making is, let's have some fun, all right? Because this playing tight, great, that's fantastic for survival, but you know what you're not doing if you're playing tight?
Not winning.
Not maximising your profits.
Absolutely.
Not even beginning to.
No. Completely agree, absolutely. So there we go. Right, now we have an email. Should we take a look at an email? This one is from Ger Donahue. And, Ger says he agreed with you. This is quite interesting. This is probably why you pointed it out to me.
What's the chat show host's name?
Phil Donahue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he'd be the Phil. This is the Ger. Ger Donahue, I agreed with Caspar yesterday.
Isn't he Canadian?
Phil Donahue? I really doubt it.
I don't know.
I don't know.
He's one of the famous Canadians you're not giving credit for.
I think we get credit for far too many
We did, yeah.
non-famous
Keanu
Canadians.
Reeves, anyone know that? I knew Michael J. Fox, didn't know Keanu Reeves.
Oh, yeah, right. Sorry. Keanu Reeves I have not much to say about, because I watched, the one with the... I can't do this. I can't remember anyone's names. I'm moving on to the email. I agreed with Caspar yesterday, it says. It is better to avoid confrontation when the blinds are that big and you have accumulated a stack. You can play tricky and steal chips from players when blinds are lower and you're in the bubble, but once in the money and your stack is big, you are better off letting 2 smaller stacks fight it out and picking up blinds to maintain your stack. This brings me to a question which has been bothering me recently. On the games which are shown on Poker Night Live, the button is always with the big blind heads up. I thought that the small blind had the button and heads up. Can you explain why this is the case in games shown on Poker Night Live, as it completely changes what strategy you would employ when playing heads up with deep stacks? And that's from Ger Donahue. So he agrees with you and asks a question.
Yes, and you're absolutely right. It does change it, and there's no reason. Do you know what? We don't know the reason. It's not a software bug, because obviously it's deliberate. It might be a software bug. It might be that the software can't sort it out, because if you say that the small blind is the first off the button, then in actual fact, logically, the small blind should be off the button. So the software is probably doing something more logically than we do in real life. Because it's always confused me why we did that in real life long before online poker came along and sort of changed it back again. So I don't know is the answer. You're absolutely right. It does change the strategy. We'll have a little look at that when we see a heads-up play later on in the single table tournament, and I will make a note now to make specific reference to it.
He's making a note. You can
but listen,
count on it then.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for agreeing with me. As I said with Mark yesterday, no right or wrong. You know, it's what you can argue. It's about your strategy being internally consistent with itself, and that you know what you're doing. It's all about consequences, as both James and Malcolm have said to me. You know, you can have a profit maximising play, but you needn't do that 80% of the time, as long as you understand the consequences of calling with aces before the flop.
There you go, and maybe we'll get a chance to see some heads up in the tournament we're about to take a look at now. This is a $10 sit and go, so let's take a look. Oh, here it comes. There it is. There it is. There we go. $10 sit and go. Some of our old favourites here as well. Hoofy sat there in seat 3 as usual. Golden Jaguar. Bandit. And Super Gran. I like that, Super Gran. I think my grandmother would have played poker if she'd, you know, lived to see this day.
Was she super?
She was super. She was one of those shiny, happy people.
Excellent.
She'd have loved poker.
Hoofy there in seat 3.
Yep.
Farce in seat 8. All the boys here, look, Stanters. Fantastic. Good to see them all alive and kicking.
Nice to see, nice to see. And Golden Jaguar wins that pot. Right, it is amateur or beginner night here on Poker Night Live, so if you have any questions about not just strategy in poker, but maybe even some of the simpler ones, feel free to email them in, because Cass is here all night long at your beck and call, just waiting to answer your questions.
I'm here all week. Hoofy there with the heartbreaking hand in the early stages of a sit and go, pair of tens. You sit there and you think to yourself, now, basically, do I raise with these? If I raise with these and the flop comes low, I'm going to have to bet out in first position. Do I just call and not get any read on my opponent? What if the flop comes bigger than tens? I'm just going to have to fold them. You know, folding a pair of tens, it's not so bad in first position. Now he's got a bet into a pre-flop raiser, so he's spent 140 of his allocated chips on this hand with a pair of tens, and his heart's in his mouth because he knows the other guy's only going to have jacks and he's going to call. He knows the other guy may even raise him with a 7 and he'd probably have to fold it.
True.
Horrible situation, but it all works out fine.
Phew.
Yeah.
What a relief. Big sigh of relief there for him.
Ace King, nice situation. Ooh, 5 times the big blind raise. That's probably a bit big, I would say. Certainly on amateur night, for simplicity's sake. We probably want to keep our raise a little smaller than that in general, but not the worst thing in the world.
Oh, pair of aces there.
Lovely, and that's a great situation to have aces. And not a great stage of the tournament to have aces. He'd like a couple of other callers. Now, I'm putting in about 5 times the big blind now, because I've got a 4's absolutely fine. I've got an early position caller in Super Gran. Wonder whether Super Gran will call this. Interesting question as to whether to call this. Yeah, I don't think the fold is wrong. A borderline call there for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the interesting
with 7-5.
Yeah, the interesting thing with having 7-5 is it doesn't really matter if it's 7-5 or ace-queen. In fact, the benefit of having 7-5 is that you're probably in better shape than ace-queen.
Right,
because with ace-queen, you're probably, you know, or certainly than king-queen, let's say, because you're probably going to be dominated. Well, there's a chance that you're dominated. It's unlikely that you're dominated with 7-5, by which I mean it's unlikely that someone's got a 7 or 10-5 or ace-5 or something like that putting in the raise. And the nice thing about calling there is, first of all, it's still cheap, right? It's still cheap. Now, let's think about the implied odds thing. If someone is raising us and we've got 7-5, there's a very good chance that if the flop comes and we hit it, we can make a lot of money from this person.
Right.
Because it's going to look very, very innocent. It's very unlikely that this person is going to be able to get away from their hand if we hit 2 pairs. Okay, so it's the kind of hand where you can take a lot of money from people. And do you know what? They'll sit there and go, "You're an a-hole," okay, and they'll type in the chat box and abuse you. I would rather do it, and I've got about 1,300, 1,400 than just having, I don't know, 1,000, right?
Okay.
As Super Gran had there. But if I've got a few chips and I've got enough money which I can make a little investment in this pot, I'm going to do it at something like 7-5, bizarrely, even if I'm raised from the button.
Huh. Okay, I'm going to bear that in mind. Because that's definitely something I wouldn't do. But then
yeah, but then I see it's dangerous. It is dangerous advice to give, Cara,
especially to a novice.
Yeah, because you've got to, and I mean this, you know.
Sincerely?
Well, I just mean this with all due respect and humility. You've got to know what you're doing. If you hit a 7 and you bet out and someone raises you, what's dangerous is that the novice then calls, and at that point, I'm done with it. Right?
Okay.
I'm done with it. If the flop hits a 7 and I bet out with my 7-5 and I'm raised, I now either have to hit a 7. Basically, the person's telling me, yeah, he could have ace-king and he's being really aggressive, but it's so unlikely.
Right.
I now either have to hit a 7 or a 5 to win the hand.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
And now I know that if I do that, I've got to make so much money from this guy for the implied odds to make up for it, that I doubt this, you know, there are very few situations in which I'm going to.
So you just let it go at that point?
Just let it go, absolutely. So that's why it's dangerous playing 7-5, is because you've really got to know how to play on the flop.
Okay, something that I have definite trouble with is when I see the flop come down, and if I don't hit it, or I don't hit it right away, or like you say, if someone raises it, I do wonder if I'm not... The whole idea about continuation bets, let me start again. Continuation bets, if I've bet before the flop comes down, oh, interesting hand.
Yeah, sorry, Cara.
No, go ahead.
We don't see this often enough to commentate and have some fun with it. Oh, and PUFC's made it very interesting now. Oh, Ars Bandit's only got 200... Ars Bandit. Well done. It's only got 260 left, so he's going to call. That would have been a good raise in some... Well, I mean, I wouldn't have put in the raise. It would have been an interesting raise if Farsi had not had enough chips to call it. But as it was, ace-queen versus ace-king, you're so dominated as ace-king, as ace-queen, you know, you're going to lose that so often. And it just shows the vulnerability of ace-queen. And look, he's got it again. And this time he's got it into kings.
Uh-oh, what's he going to do with it this time?
He's going to be mad.
What are you going to do? He likes to be called Posh, by the way.
And why is that?
He's Peterborough United Football Club.
Oh, Peterborough, right.
That's
Posh,
it.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
sorry, right.
I don't understand the connection, but obviously you do.
Well, Posh is the nickname for Peterborough Football Club, and Posh Spice actually tried to sue them.
Oh my goodness!
Now I'm not entirely sure whether it went to court or how far it got, but definitely there was something that she'd instructed solicitors or something to sue them, as if she owned the word Posh, despite the fact that it had been their nickname for sort of like 50 years or something.
Oh bless! She probably thought they were just doing it to, you know, feed off of her amazing success. In her musical career. Yeah,
well, you know, that would be fine if you were just a pop star, but when your husband's captain of England, you kind of expect to know a bit more about football than that, aren't you? Do you think they discussed it at the breakfast table? You know, I think you should, love. I think you should sue.
Probably doesn't listen anyways.
Probably not.
Yes, dear. Whatever you like, dear. There we go. Super Grand with an ace-2 on the button. What are you going to do there?
They just keep dropping sprogs.
That's the way to fix the marriage. Anyways, moving back to the poker.
Cara, it's the way to fix society.
Is it? Just keep having babies.
Just keep
Because it keeps women at home and quiet.
I never thought about that. That is a bonus.
I'm obviously being sarcastic. I hope you are too. Not so much.
Not so much.
Great. Oh. Well done, Super Grand. Golden Jaguar with his Queen Jack. 4 times a big blind seems to be their typical starting raise.
Yeah, sometimes a figure will establish itself as sort of the done thing.
Yeah, it goes table by table, doesn't it? They sort of find their own level. Have you found, when you're doing the Beat the Presenter tournament, that everyone seems to play incredibly tight?
Not my last 2 games.
Okay.
Definitely my first 2 games. I've found that I just get far too much respect. I mean, it's taken a massive amount of adaptation.
Right.
To adapt. But then, you know, people have seen the results. I'm putting my money in with the best hand.
True.
I don't think I've run a single bluff in the early stages. It's not my intention to bluff in the early stages.
Okay.
It's my intention to play a lot of hands and to... sorry, when I say put my money in, I mean put a significant amount of money,
Yeah,
like,
of
you know,
course.
raise or
You're
make
not
that stand with the best
misrepresenting.
hand. No, I've got no problem with calling in the early stages. without the best hand. Now again, Stanta's doing exactly what we saw Johan doing before. This
scary thing.
Oh well, no, sorry, I do apologise. Superground has put 160, and I'm sorry, I'm doing him down there. That's a perfectly acceptable raise there. I didn't see how much money Superground had put in.
One thing I learned, we were playing a bit of live poker. It was my first live poker last week, actually. I was playing against some of the crew from the lovely Poker Night Live crew.
Excellent.
And it amazed me how often the hands you get really are just absolutely rubbish. I don't know, when you're watching it online like this and we can see everyone's hands, sometimes it does seem like there's an awful lot of queens or jacks or aces out there. But in truth...
Well, this is what we call the Prima Network card rigging system that creates good hands that build up the action, therefore build up the pots. That I'm talking nonsense.
Of course it is. It's absolute nonsense. It's just when you get to see everyone's hands, you get to see more.
Yeah.
Exactly, you get to see more hands.
It's
generally
completely impossible mentally to break that down into eighths and to say I'm only going to see an eighth of this number of cards.
Yeah. I just realised how many rubbish hands I put
And
up.
incidentally, you don't even see that when you're playing live. You don't see an eighth of the number of the cards. You see it in terms of hour for hour. You see about 1/24th.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because you're seeing at least a third as number of hands.
Yeah.
As you see online, so you're seeing 1/24th of these hands. And let's just look at the average. Let's just look at the average deal. What do we got here? An ace jack there is the best hand. 6-8, 6-9, queen 7, 9-5. So you're just going to spend so much of your time folding.
Yeah, you have to get used to folding a lot, I suppose, if you want to get anywhere.
Yeah.
I'd like to start with more chips, but I suppose everyone thinks that.
More chips, you mean in a sit and go, or do you mean in a cash game? Or?
No, in a tournament. I'd like to have more chips, or just more play for the chips as well. I'm thinking about multi-table tournaments. I suppose you have a bit more play in your chips, so maybe that's something I should try.
Yeah, not really, Kerry. It's all about how many big blinds you have in your stack. So it doesn't matter whether it's a multi-table or sit and go. If you start off with 1,500 in chips and the blinds start off at 10 and 20, then...
They go up slower, don't they, in a multi-table tournament? Generally they do.
They might do, they might not. No, I mean... It all depends. All depends on the tournament.
Yeah. Well, I suppose so, yeah. Big tournament where they go up slower.
I mean, Prima sit and goes are fast. There's no doubt about it. These sit and goes that we watch on Poker Night Live are very, very fast in structure. The blinds start at 10 and 20, where some start at 5 and 10, and they double, basically, continually, where some get 5, 10, 10, 20, 15, 30, they want to go 30, 60, maybe even go to 20, 40, then 30, 60, 40, 80, 50, 100, and then it would very often go 100, 200, or maybe 150, 300, 100, 200. So yeah, that's the fact that these double does make for very fast sit and goes. But that's why you shouldn't play tight, Kara.
Okay.
Simple as that. That's.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because I really enjoy playing, but I find that if I play too tight, I sit there and then I get blinded out and I have nothing left. I've got a short stack. I end up having to push all in, and it's a bit of a yawn, really.
Well, I would say definitely. This one, you've made the money, you've broken your duck. Now let's start playing loose, enjoying it, and going for first place.
I have the tiger.
And every now and again, I will kick you under the table when you should raise. No, just when you should raise, Karen. No, don't.
I was thinking I'd enjoy that.
No, because you'll what is it? Fan the flames of these rumours on the forums about me having a thing for you, which I don't know where that comes from.
Are there rumours on the forum of that? I haven't read that. Well, I'll have to go looking. I think that's quite funny.
Someone says there's a.
If only they knew I'm so not your type.
There's a line for Kara which starts behind Caspar. A long way behind if he had his way, it says.
That's so funny. People just make things up. I suppose it makes it more interesting.
You're from the wrong continent, I'm afraid.
Why?
Because I like Asian girls.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If only they knew that, you know, I'm just so
They do know,
not.
I say every night. There's no secret between me and the PNL audience. They could set me up on dates if they wanted.
Oh, bless.
No one has. We
So
still don't
sad.
know. We assume that it's Damien who bought me another lovely box of sweeties and sherbet. I'm enjoying Coca-Cola American soda at the moment, or Coca-Cola sherbet.
Really?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Someone sent you candy? Sweets?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was very funny, actually. I don't think, it happened on a show where me and Dr. Tom were here, and me and Dr. Tom were trying to get a packet of crisps from the runner. And the producer said to us, if you want, mate, there's a huge box of sweets in here with your name on it, I'm telling you. I sort of pulled the joke a bit now, because I went, oh yeah, we'll have one. And he brought in this huge box of sweets, which had my name on it.
And they'd just been eating them in the gallery?
No, they hadn't.
Oh.
No, he didn't. They just brought in this box of sweets that said Caspar Berry on the box.
That's so sweet.
It was just, we thought it was like, there's a big box here with your name on it, mate.
Yeah. No, it literally
Anyway,
had your name on it.
The point that I'm making is, it's absolutely fantastic to buy me cola sherbet. That's brilliant. But if you do want to set me up on a date with a beautiful Chinese lady, that is
I'll keep my eyes open.
more brilliant in a way. A lot of people say, thanks for the advice. Well, a little bit of recognition wouldn't go amiss.
Not a bad idea. Wow. Gosh. Right, well then I will be, keeping my eyes open for you. It's quite funny, really.
I've suggested to some friends just giving them a series of business cards, my business cards, and they can just go out and give them to...
You look cute. Here you go.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm going to...
How I got my last girlfriend, an ex of mine, went into a club, saw this beautiful Chinese girlfriend, and said, I know a man that would adore you. Got her phone number.
Whatever works.
It did. I wish it hadn't. She was a psycho.
Oh.
Anyway, let's see how Stantas plays this out. No, Mr. Farce Bandit wins with his re-raise.
Very, very exciting. As exciting as your love life. Wow, I'm literally on the edge of my seat. Right, let's go to an email here. It's not about your love life. No, you really probably shouldn't have. This is from Paul, a.k.a. the Pollux. Hi, guys, it says. At what level, in terms of money and sit-and-go tourneys, does skill come into greater play? Keep the great tips coming. So that, I pass over to the great Caspar Berry.
10-20 comes in absolutely in the very, very beginning. Because later on, we've discussed this many times, so I apologise to people who've seen this discussion played out a number of occasions now. Later on in the tournament, the decisions are more automatic. If you sit and watch Hoofy play, which we're going to in just a minute, you'll see that Hoofy, after a certain point, will go all in with almost any ace, because he has to. Because he's got about 800 in chips, and the blinds suddenly become 80, 160. He's got 5 times the big blind, and he's going to move all in with any ace. So at what level does skill come into play? From the very, very beginning. You should be trying to outplay people from the very beginning. I have no time now, and the more I've thought about it, and particularly not in these sit-and-goes, in much slower structures, there's more of an argument for it, but in these sit-and-goes, there is no point playing tight to begin with. You don't survive in 20 stages. You've got to start accumulating from hand 1. That's genuinely what I believe. Later on, there's knowledge of detailed heads-up stats comes into play. In other words, what's the difference between ace-jack and ace-8 if you're going to move all in? That's very, very important. But I will thank my friend Gerd Donahue again for going with me, and the fact that when it gets three-handed, not four-handed, but three-handed, chip preservation becomes all important, because you want someone to knock themselves out. We had a big discussion yesterday, Mark and I, about whether you should, whether you keep it three-handed. James Browning makes a really excellent, subtle point that to keep it three-handed, if you're the best player, you want to keep them both in, because you want to try and milk both of them before you get to the heads up. That's brilliant, but not in a sit and go where you've only got like 4, 5, 6, sometimes less, 3 big blinds in your stack. There is no time for that kind of skill to be extracted. What I want is for one of them to knock each other out to get me to the heads up, because that moves me up in money. And if I can do that as cheaply as possible, that's great. If I get ace king or ace queen, of course I'm going to move. Of course I'm going to make a move. But if there's a chance that these two players will knock each other out, I'm going to let them do that. If there isn't, that's when I become the aggressor.
Ah, okay. Very good. I will keep that in mind myself, and I'm sure that our emailer will as well. We're going to go take a look back at the $10 tournament.
Cool.
So let's take a look at that. Great email, though, and thank you, and keep them coming. poker@pokernightlive.co.uk, or you can text us on 62211, and we always love to hear from you, so any topics are completely welcome. So how low of a pair would you go in with in the early stages if you were, let's say, in middle position? Is that a silly question?
No,
I'm just curious to know what
no.
sort of standards I should be thinking about.
It's not a silly question, but bear in mind there's an information missing. So, for example, is there a raise in front of me? In which case, I'm not going to play anything less than jacks.
Well, okay.
If there's a raise in front of me,
Yep.
middle position. If there's a call in front of me, then I'm quite happy to call, and only call, with 4s through to tens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even jacks.
Mm-hmm.
Raising with queens.
Okay.
Okay. If there's nothing in front of me,
Mm-hmm.
then I will be raising. This is the early stages of a sit and
Yeah.
go. If it's the early stages of a sit and go, I will probably be calling with maybe even threes. I hate twos.
Okay.
Maybe even threes up to sevens.
Uh-huh.
For various reasons, I'm probably going to raise eights through queens,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm probably going to call again with aces and kings.
Okay.
Because I want to,
Yeah,
the
try to
early
get a bit
stages of
more
a sit and go.
money.
Yeah, and only in the early stages of a sit and go.
Okay.
Really importantly. Not in a cash game, not in the later stages, just the early stages, because there's no point raising with aces and kings and just winning 30.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's not going to win me the tournament.
I see. So if the blinds were higher, though, that you could do that.
Poor old Stanters plays his
Oh.
ace-king absolutely correctly and gets outdrawn by a flush to boot.
Ouch.
But the ace-9 had it on the flop anyway. Bad luck, Stanters. Better luck next time.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I will be raising with around about eighths to queens, and that will vary. Sometimes I'll call with tens. But I'll be raising with those effectively to try and take the blinds.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? If I take the blinds 30 with those, then I'm absolutely fine. If
Yeah.
I don't, then we'll see how it's going to play out.
Mm-hmm.
But there's Posh raising on the button with a pair of eights, snowmen. And that's absolutely fine. I'm fine with that. But you know, the problem with that, of course, is that we have to understand that he's jeopardising his tournament with those eights. I'm not criticising. It's what you've got to do. That's the play. But we're already blinds at 81.60, and he had effectively 5 big blinds in his stack. That's why you've got to accumulate by the time you get to here in these sit and goes. Got to. Because you don't want to get yourself into a situation where you don't have any decisions. Poker is a game of decisions. The person who wins in poker will be the person who makes the best decisions, and therefore you must give yourself the opportunity to make as many decisions as possible.
I see, because as I keep being told, there are 2 ways to win. You can either win by making a bet that no one wants to match, and you need enough chips to do that, obviously, or you can have the best hand. And there you go. See, I've learned so much.
There's a way of summarising that, though, and that is, I've forgotten.
But I'm sure it's an easy to remember way of summarising it.
It's an old acronym, I remember.
See, don't these memory aids, aren't they just so helpful?
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta love the mnemonics.
It's something like being in the best situation, and the situation is the combination of those two according to your expectation.
That makes, I'm sure, a lot of sense. Just not to me at the moment. That's all.
Sorry, I'm going down a conversation cul-de-sac. Let's do a 3-point turn, come out of it,
Yes.
and let me just use a segue from that point into a more general point, which is that to win in poker, you don't have to win.
Right.
It's very, very important. Winning in poker is about having the best possible expectation, and if you're going to win $1,000 in a pot 10% of the time, right, that is better and more profitable than winning $80 in the pot 100% of the time. Okay? Because winning 10% of 1,000 gives you an expectation in that situation of $100.
Yeah.
Whereas winning $80 100% of the time gives you an expectation in that situation of $80.
Yeah, but you'd be guaranteed it.
No, because you're guaranteed, if you have a 10% chance of winning $1,000, of winning that $100 over the long term.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah? And that's what expectation is. And that's the interesting thing in our society. We have a general inability to deal with that concept of expectation. Not just in poker, in business, in life, people find it very difficult. Let's have a look at this, because Hoofy with the jacks has just been outdrawn by Super Gran with 2 pairs, queens and tens, raised from the button, makes his full house for good measure. Poor old Hoofy. 900 in chips. Not enough.
Nope.
To bet Super Gran off the hand. But Super Gran was all in. Yes, you never saw Super Gran, but it was a really god-awful children's television programme made in Newcastle.
Okay, because I was going to say...
It was the great employer in the television industry in Newcastle before Biker Grove came along.
The infamous Baker Grove.
Well, you know what? I'm not saying Biker Grove was any good, but it did provide a lot of jobs in Newcastle television industry.
Provided a heck of a lot of entertainment as well.
Not really.
No, it really did. So I tell you, there are some friends of mine, some girlfriends, who are absolutely beside themselves that I'm sat here next to. They need to get out more, obviously, but still.
Any of them Chinese?
No, sorry. So not your type.
There's 2 billion of them. How come you don't know any?
You know what? They're all in relationships. Happily so.
What, Chinese girls?
Yeah.
Or... Really?
Yeah.
That's a bit of a generalisation, isn't it? All
no,
2
not
billion?
all of them. The ones that I know. I can't introduce you to any that I know.
Oh, so you do know some?
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
God.
That's good.
No, I do. I think you should go to Vancouver. I think you'd love Canada.
Yeah, Vancouver.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I'm sure they'd love your English accent. You'd be all, you know, different and foreign and exciting.
I could be Floppy and Hugh Grant. Farsi calls with his King 10. And look at that, the jamming out. Runs down ace-2. Still there, running it down. Pot of 1,460, and this is where, in these sit-and-go tournaments, I hate using the word luck, but it does come down to luck so greatly. Okay, Golden Jaguar, obviously we're raising there with the ace-queen. Obviously, taking it down. Jolly good stuff.
Well done, well done. Super grand there on the button.
And the point is, you know, again, we're, what, 15 minutes into the sit-and-go, and all raises are basically all-ins. All raises, and I've said before, what happens is we tend to see people in these sit-and-goes making 2 times the big blind raises sometimes because it looks a bit scary. Do you know, interestingly, actually, very few people raise 2 times the big blind raise in these sit-and-goes with aces and kings.
Yeah.
Actually, people raise 2 times the big blind because they've got a rubbish hand they don't want to commit too many chips to. Super Grand needs a king, or he's in trouble. Hoofy has 9s and 6s at the moment.
Oh.
And Super Grand just 6s and 5s with a king kicker. So Hoofy takes it down, and we're down to 4, and it can all move very quickly.
It certainly can.
I'll tell you what didn't move quickly yesterday. You should have seen my my sit-and-go heads up with Gullo. Oh.
Really?
Hand after hand, it was brilliant. It was a lot of fun. Best, most fun sit-and-go I've played in a long time, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, saying all this about it being fast, it was a real, how should I describe it? We did a lot of folding, basically, which you don't often do heads up.
Yeah.
But we both gave each other a wide berth. We both were putting preservation quite highly. We both weren't throwing our chips in with anything. And it made for a much more interesting strategic situation.
What sort of tournament was it?
Just a sit-and-go.
A $10?
$30.
$30. Yeah.
You don't build up 300.
I was going to say.
You know, from 50
from
just
a $2 tournament.
You know. Well, I did. My first win was a $2 tournament. Still, that gave me the $8, which, you know, acted as a little seed.
Gosh, I wish I could get a bit of a seed. Oh, well.
You might want to rephrase that.
Oh, yes, I suppose so.
I tell you what, these are the longest emails that we're receiving that I've ever seen in history.
I know, they're really
Every email tonight
detailed.
is huge. I don't think we need to do any commentary on poker, we'll just read emails for the rest of the night.
I think we might do, although this is one, I think, and this is only a thought, but some people are emailing in on one night and they're getting no joy from the presenter that they're with. And then they're emailing again the next night as well with the exact same thing, hoping for a bit more joy. And I believe that would be... Well.
Hoofy calls there with the 4-7. And the Golden Jaguar winning at the moment, and winning still. So doubles through. Hoofy's still in a good situation at the moment. He's got dominance, but that can all go. I mean, I had about 4,500 getting to the 3-handed last night, and it soon goes. It's important not to take it for granted. That's a good move there by Hoofy. That's exactly what I would do. Got a nice king high. Got dominance. This guy's heart's breaking, really, because he's thinking, you know I've got the worst hand. I've just put in more than a third of my stack. Yeah, and that's exactly how to command the table. I'm folding if I'm Hoofy, that's great. And poor old BMMA now. And I think, as heartbreaking it is, BM, I know he had Queen 7, you'll see that in 5 minutes. Well, you see it now, actually, but 5 minutes ago, you were in this situation. But I think you've got to push, really, in that situation.
Yeah.
Because you've just got so few chips now.
I really do. I mean, he did have, I think, just one big blind, and that was it.
So,
well,
Hoofy makes full house, just to rub salt into the wound, and BMMA out in third, but no shame in that.
Nope.
Good stuff, well played.
And if you're going to go out to full house, go out with a bang.
Yeah.
Well.
Blinds 320, 640, so they still haven't got up to their maximum yet. Hoofy with the ace there, Golden Jaguar, doesn't like his Rag Jack, and well, he might not. Nice little pair here for Hoofy. We can go all in. Golden Jaguar has... now, what were the situations there, the chip stacks? You see, these people make decisions so quickly. I mean, I'm an ignoramus, honestly. I can't make decisions that quickly. I just can't do it. And Golden Jaguar dead there. And Hoofy takes it down. Love to see Hoofy winning. Fantastic. Hoofy talking about variants the other day. There you are, Hoofy. There's one to chalk down. And on a different monitor down there, we can see Hoofy in seat 3 for the very next tournament. How does he do it?
I don't know. That's really amazing.
How does he do it?
Must have an inside track there. Well done, Hoofy. Anyways, we've got a few emails to take a look at here.
Good. Let's bang through them.
Right, bang through them. This one is from Darren. Darren says, I just wanted to say your show has kept me up many nights, and I really do love all the new items. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for keeping me entertained every night, and keep up the good work. I have a question. If you go into a hand winning and then lose on the turn or the river with the other person hitting lucky cards, have you made a bad play? Now, you haven't given Cass a whole lot of information to work with here, but what do you think about that?
If you go into a hand winning and then you lose on the river or turn with them hitting lucky cards, they've made a bad play. You kind of answer your own question, because of course they've hit lucky cards. The issue, and it's a really big one, and this is beginner's night, so I'm going to start as close to the beginning as I can. The issue is, did you go all in when you were best, and did they just outdraw you? In other words, once that money was in the pot, did they hit a couple of lucky cards? Nothing you can do about it. Have you made a bad play there? No, you've done absolutely the right thing. Here's the second possibility. You are playing with the best hand, you maybe put some money in, maybe they call, maybe they make a bet and you call, maybe you just check, maybe you're slow playing your best hand. And then they outdraw you. Now the money's not all in here, so you've still got decisions to make. Let's say you make a bet and they raise you. Now you don't have the best hand anymore because they've outdrawn you. They've hit a card, maybe you've given them the opportunity to hit a card, and they've now got a better hand than you. Is it a terrible play to call in this situation? No, it's poker. You're going to make mistakes in poker. You're not psychic. You don't know that he's playing Jack-8, so you don't know that he's just hit his 8 to give himself 2 pairs, and you mustn't beat yourself up when you do, and you mustn't beat them up when they do either. But the question is, in enough of those situations, you need to be able to tell so that in the long term, you can, altogether, minimise your losses. That's key. So if they hit their lucky cards while there's still play and decisions to be made, you need to hone your skills of judging when they've improved and beaten you, even though you may have been ahead at first. Now, as Kara said, you haven't given the possibilities and the permutations in which they can outdraw you and make a better hand are myriad. They could make their 2 pair, they could hit the card of their low pair in the hole to make trips, they could make their flush, they could make their straight. There's all sorts of possibilities that they can hit to outdraw you. The question is, can you tell by their betting pattern? Can you tell by their pre-flop action that gives you some kind of read as what cards they might be playing now? And in a live game, of course, can you tell by their body language? And those are the things that you need to use in order to understand when they've beaten you, when they've outdrawn you, and when you should fold and get out of that.
Okay. Right, I'm going to bang right into this next email here.
Bang in
Bang in there.
Good.
This is from R. Gregory. He says, I was playing tonight in a casino. I'm the small blind with 9-9. There's no raise, so I call. The big blind checks, and then the flop comes 4-7-5. I check, the big blind checks, but the next guy bets, so I put him on high cards. I raise, the big blind folds. The other guy re-raises, puts all in. Turns out he's got 5-7. Is this man a poker player or just an idiot? Well, he's a winner.
Yeah, well, this is a classic example of what I said. So you got a pair of 9s with no raise, so you just call, and the big blind checks. The flop comes 4-7-5. I check, the big blind checks, the next guy bets. Big blind, and then small blind with 9-9. There's no raise, so it's just a call. So we put him on high cards. I would say that you should have raised from the small blind. And what do we say about raising? 3 reasons why you do it. Build the pot, get information, or eliminate and isolate. You should have been getting information on people there, as well as building the pot. If it was just an early position caller, should have been raising it up, definitely. So I think you made a mistake, R. Gregory, I've got to be honest with you. Is he a poker player or just an idiot? I don't think he's either. I think he's someone who got lucky.
Yeah, and a bit of sour grapes as well. Right, going to a new segment now.
Excellent.
There we go. Well, I've just been told that our interviewee cannot be joining us tonight, which is unfortunate. So instead, we're going to take a little break now. A little break from the poker, although it's been fantastic for this last hour. And we're going to do something else. What are we going to be doing?
Let's talk film.
Yay!
You know what? You've had 9 months of us talking about poker, so I thought we'd talk about our other love. Some of you must love them as well. Let's talk films.
Absolutely. We try to sneak it in any chance we get anyway. So now we actually have
so
a
we've
few
got
minutes.
a little slot dedicated to all the films. And that means that the rest of the time we'll be talking solid poker. So, Cara, what films have you seen recently?
Well, most recently I saw Capote, which I have to say I really enjoyed. I know you saw it as well.
I saw it as well. Well, listen, I tell you what, besides the actual how good was the film, here's what I think is mind-blowing about Capote, right? Capote is a story of the writing of In Cold Blood, which is a book by Truman Capote. One of the greatest
true crime novels.
Crime novels. One of the greatest pieces of writing in America in the last 50 years. Now, here's what I think is mind-blowing about it. Who was his research assistant? Harper Lee.
I know, that was incredible.
The woman who he grew up with from when he was 5 years old.
Yeah,
now, we're talking about the two of the 10 greatest books in America in the last 50 years. And they were written by two people who grew up together from the age of 5.
Exactly. Who would have guessed that the writer of To Kill a Mockingbird would have been best friend, research assistant, and grew up next door to, basically.
Apparently Truman Capote was the inspiration for the character Dill.
Really?
In To Kill a Mockingbird.
Wow, I didn't know that.
See, now, I tell you what's really interesting is we draw a tenuous connection between that and poker. So I've always found it fascinating in the film industry that, I've said this before actually in context of this programme, that the first audience, the first editing room audience of Star Wars was Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola, Steven Spielberg, and George Lucas, and Brian De Palma. In fact, they sat and watched in the editing room, and Brian De Palma showed exactly what he knew about films when he said after Darth Vader's entrance, "If that's your baddie, you've got a big problem." Well, you know, mate, he went on to be the biggest baddie in history, of cinema.
Yeah.
My point is that success seems to come in groups.
This is true.
And Howard Lederer talks about exactly this. He talks about there was a group in New York. There was Howard Lederer, there was Dan Harrington, and a couple of the other, I can't remember, but big names. You know, in Texas you had Dord Brunson, Sailor Roberts, Amarillo Slim, Johnny Moss. It's interesting.
It is interesting, and if you look at the film Capote, it happens that way as well, because the writer, the director, and Philip Seymour Hoffman, who plays the lead role, all basically were friends from school together. They always talked about doing a project, but never actually thought they would.
It all links.
It's amazing, see?
So what are we saying about life here, Cara? We're not talking so much about films.
We are talking about life, I think.
That's very interesting.
It is, isn't it?
Exactly the same, you know, Spielberg and Lucas, and Coppola and Scorsese, very, very good friends from their young age.
That's true.
What's your favourite Coppola-Scorsese film?
Oh, God. I'd probably have to go with the real sort of typical, like The Godfather. I just think,
Me, Goodfellas.
Really? Yeah. Actually, yeah. I remember growing up with that because coming from an Italian family, Italian-Canadian family,
do you have Italian blood?
Yeah, my mother's Italian.
Do you? What's your second name?
Well, hers, it would have been Maggioli.
All right. Okay, excellent.
Maggioli.
Excellent. Do you go back to the home country ever?
I was back in Rome, actually, in the summer. Yeah,
really?
I love it there. We still have a family home there.
Really?
Well, not in Rome. It's actually near where Fellini did all of his films, in a little village just near Venice.
And what is that village?
I cannot remember.
Did he shoot 8.5 there?
The one with all the stripy awnings, yes.
Is that how you remember it? One of the greatest films in history, stripy awnings.
We all do things differently.
Absolutely.
I'm bad with names, I told you that.
Absolutely. No, for me, Goodfellas just was the film. I remember I went in, I was 18 years old. I went into that film, I had a black leather jacket. Some of you folks may remember it from Biker Grove, the black leather jacket there. Yes.
All the girls out there are just fanning themselves.
And I went in and it was quite a hot cinema, and the first 5 minutes of the film I had to take my black leather jacket off because it exhilarated me so much. I was just hot. I was sweating. Do you know what I mean? That beginning of that film just gets you pumped.
It's visceral.
It's amazing.
It's an absolutely visceral experience. I thought so as well.
Yeah.
Beautiful. But Capote, in a different way, I enjoyed. I thought it was very complicated emotionally. Not complicated in the story, because that's quite a simple story, but emotionally, I just thought the characters were incredible.
For me, it's all about Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah,
that performance
amazing.
Is extraordinary.
Exactly.
I remember, a lot of people don't remember. Do you remember, he's in Scent of a Woman? Can you remember him in Scent of a Woman?
No.
He's one of the schoolboys in Scent of a Woman. The teacher has a car, a Jaguar, and he goes, "It's a fine piece of machinery you got there, sir." And I remember from that line, honestly, from that line, thinking, he's going to be brilliant.
Well, there you go, and there you go. We are going to go to a break now. Hope you enjoyed that. We certainly did, and we will see you back here for more poker after the break. Hi and welcome back to Poker Night Live. I'm playing a tournament, so I'll be doing this over here then.
Over to me.
Yes, over to you, Cass.
Over to the game. Let's let the cards speak. I thought I'd do that, folks, because now what I'm going to do is read a load of emails. And if we just sat on me with the emails, what would happen is the producers would start shouting in my ears saying, let's go to a game soon. So I thought, if we go to a game soon, that gives us the ability to read loads of emails and just enjoy it. Just enjoy a bit of a laugh. Just to let you know, we're watching a $10 sit and go. It's the one where Hoofy took the place immediately afterwards. So wall-to-wall sit and goes here on Poker Night Live. Something special for all you tournament fans. Not the cash game lovers. They'll just have to wait. Of course, everyone loves their own thing, don't they, here on Poker Night Live? And what we try and do is please everybody. So let's have a little read of some very lengthy emails. Now, I'm just going to say this. If you want your email read out on Poker Night Live, can I just say that this opening and this closing don't go far amiss. Email here from Dave. He says, hi there, poker gods. And then he's put in brackets, well, almost, Caspar, you came second last night. Now, that's saying I'm almost a god, isn't it, in a way? And that's brilliant. And then we've got an email here from Poustache, who concludes with P.S. Caspar, you're a genius. His words, not mine. Karen? All I'm saying is, that's an enormous email, which normally we'd say, ooh, too big to read out, I'm afraid. But on this occasion, we're just going to read it, because, you know, he obviously has a respect for the show.
Obviously, and if you think you're a genius.
Poustache writes the following. Hello, great show, guys. I have a dilemma from my play last night, and I'd like your opinion on it, please. I was playing in a $20 rebuy tournament last night on the net. The winner would get over $4,000. Do you know what?
What?
I was looking at a tournament on Sunday night.
Yeah. Which
is a regular Sunday night tournament on a certain website. It's $1 million. It's a $1 million prize pool. It's $1 million guaranteed. $250 buy-in. All right, I did enter it and play absolute doggy-do.
Right.
But, you know, $1 million every Sunday, and that's just one of the millions of poker skins that we find ourselves faced with these days.
I see.
That's actually more of a back end than a poker skin, according to my earlier definitions, but... Anyway, the winner would get over $4,000, he says, and 27th would get $185. And that was the pay structure. I'm quite a tight player, but I think table image was relevant at this time because I just joined this table. Good point, Poustache. Excellent. I was in third place with 140,000 chips. Wow! And the blinds were at 4,000, 8,000. Cool, you've got loads of time. There were 34 players left. Brilliant. And the money was started at 27th. Okay. I was in an early position on the table. In fact, first to act. I had ace-king. I thought about throwing it. Well, you shouldn't throw it, but instead raised. Good, excellent. Minimum raise to find out if anyone had anything out there. I would fold if re-raised. It got round to the big blind, and he called. The flop came down, ace-3-5. I'm sensing a horror story. Sensing a horror story. I'd hit my ace, so I raised the other player. I'm assuming you're saying presumably he checked and you bet. So he was all in, another 28,000. He called, and the turn was ace spades, giving me 3 of a kind, and the river was 7 of clubs, and of course he turned over king, jack of clubs. He'd made his flush. So he now has only about 100,000 chips from 140. Okay, we're still in good shape. The blinds are still only 4 and 8. We've still got 12 times the big blind. Okay, I'm into this story. Still had a good stack at this point, and only one player on my table had more. The next hand, I pick up aces once again. I pick up aces. Once again, I think about folding. But on the big blind, it goes round and one player raises it to 16,000. Everyone else folds. And I raise him all my chips. And he calls. He's the only player with more chips than me on this table, and he turns over king-king. The flop comes down, king, queen, jack, 3-5. He wins with trips, and I go out with nothing. Should I have folded both hands, or did I play them okay? I think if you enter a tournament, you want to win it. If I had won these hands, I'd been a massive chip leader. Any comments would be great. Thanks again. Love watching the show. P.S. I don't know if I read this bit earlier on. P.S. Caspar, you're a genius. Poustache, listen, I have great pleasure in saying to you that you haven't done anything wrong. In fact, the only thing you did wrong, the only thing you did wrong was your thinking. That was the only thing that you did wrong, because your actions were brilliant. The point is, it's exactly the same as the email that we had earlier on. You can only play right. You can only put your money in when you're a big chip leader. Looking at this, if I read the first situation correctly, yeah, you've always put your money in when you're best. The biggest mistake that you've made is thinking about folding ace, king and aces. You can always go out of a tournament. You can always go out of a tournament. You can't control the cards. You can go from being chip leader to out of the tournament in 3 hands. You can flop 3 sets. You can be run down. Someone have bigger sets. Someone could outdraw you. You can always go out of a tournament. The point is, you have to have a faith that you're doing the right thing. And doing the right thing means giving yourself a chance to accumulate. I'm not saying there's never, ever, ever incorrect to fold aces. We can construct these hypothetical scenarios till we're blue in the face. But I tell you what, being third in chips and having 37 players left in the tournament, that ain't the time to fold aces. It's not the time to fold jacks. It might be if there's a raise and a re-raise in front of you, but it's certainly not the time to fold jacks if you're 2 off the button with nothing in front of you. It's time to raise with jacks. And it's definitely the time to raise with aces. And someone's going to call with king, king, and they're going to hit a king. Do you know what? It's going to happen 1 time in 5. Not 1 time in 55, 1 time in 5. And we've got to get used to it, Poostache. Got to get used to it if we want to be a poker player. Can I go back to a multi-table tournament? Isn't that exciting?
You say that with such conviction. You say that with such conviction. You do. You really do.
Aussie. Wouldn't it be brilliant if it was the Aussie? It would be brilliant. He raises it with 9s. And Superlight decides to call, so I didn't see the chip stacks there, folks, because I was looking at emails. But I'm sure it was a good call. I'm sure it was a good call. Okay, so what's the situation in this MTT at the moment? Well, there are 30 players left from 255. There are 5 tables left. The average stack is about 10,000. The largest is 30,000. And the smallest is a couple of grand. So Aussie, just sitting on the curve at the moment. Nice double through. And Jester there is the big stack. Jester 242. Where do we get these poker nicknames from, eh? This one will run and run. Where do you get your poker nickname from, Kara? Caspar B. Where do you get that from?
Oh, it's a long story, that.
Oh. Can't stand long stories, to be honest with you. We don't have time. Got a lot of poker and emails to fit in, so maybe another time, yeah?
Well, that's good. Someone on here was the Poker God email that they sent in. They'd like you to read the rest of it out.
I'm going to read the rest of it out.
Oh, good.
Got to read the rest of it out. Yeah,
about
definitely.
That. And they all love your hair, by the way.
Hey, come on, guys, it's better than last night. I've attacked it with some clippers today. It's better than last night. Someone respond to that in the old chat box. See, this is the most interactive form of television, we think, in the universe.
I think so.
In the poker universe, if you like. No one's responding to the... Is he kidding? Trev, that's from Tragic Trev.
I know.
So Tragic Trev is saying, am I kidding?
I know. They've told him he's not allowed to sing the theme song anymore because apparently it makes me laugh to the point of incontinence.
He's not even in the game. He's
nice?
Observing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at what Balrog wrote. He's obviously never had one. Seriously, Steve, if you had, you'd know. Right, what have we got? Let's have another example of an email saying that I'm good. Okay, hi there, Poker Gods. Hope you're having a great evening. Just thought I'd ask for your opinion on betting early in multi-table tournaments. I was betting in tonight's multi-table tournament early on when the blinds were small, and I was dealt the following hands. Queen, queen, bet out. Called by king, king, doh, and lost a big stack. Hang on a second. There's something missing from that, Dave. Hang on. Picking you up on this. It says queen, queen, bet out. Called by king, king, and lost a big stack. Well, you didn't lose it on that, did you? You must have lost it when the flop came down. Spending too much time with Michelle. So did the flop come little and you bet out? And then what happens? Did you bet your entire stack? Because in the early stages of a multi-table tournament, you shouldn't have been betting your whole stack. Jacks, 10s, and aces on the screen in front of us. This is exciting. Superlight's going to get his money back from Aussie. Unless we see something horrendous. Will Superlight push all in here and try and get some money from Jester? He only does, you know. Treader can quite happily get away from it. What's Jester going to do? That's the question. We know Aussie's going to call. What's Jester going to do? Is he going to have the discipline to fold? He certainly does, doesn't even think twice about it. Oh, super light. I feel for you. Now listen, folks, we've just seen it on screen there in front of us. Somebody raised with jacks, we re-raised them as aces, and they hit a jack. What's happened there? It's poker. It's going to happen. Here's Dave. He's raising with his queens. He gets called by kings, and he loses. You're not doing anything wrong in these situations, folks. You're not doing anything wrong. You will get to a stage in poker where I've heard stories where people, particularly in live games, have a pair of queens and don't lose all their stack to a pair of tens, which flop trips on the flop. Okay? Those stories exist. When you get to the very high levels of poker and when you get very deep stacks in relation to the blinds, whether it's a cash game or a tournament, you can make those really, really marginal decisions. That's brilliant. But most of the games that we're playing on a daily basis, you don't have the ability to make those kind of decisions. Let's just see his treader calls here with his flush draw. He's got a call just over 4,000 to stay in the game. He is actually getting the correct odds to do it. The question is whether he wants to risk his tournament on those odds. The question is whether he subscribes to the view that in the long run, all the tournaments fade into one long run, or whether he says, no, I want to survive in this tournament. And he does, and he very disciplinedly puts them down. Ace-Jack versus nines. We're going to get to that email in just a second, folks, so don't worry, Dave, don't worry, others. Ace-Jack raises it up. Poor old trader must be a bit sick at the moment. And that's the kind of sign of sickness. I'm not saying it's the wrong play, but it's definitely the kind of play from someone who's a bit sick of being raised and bullied and... Ooh, Chester called. Wow. Calling all that money with Ace-Jack, can you imagine? I mean, I can't. Wow. So, Dave, then after the queens, he had aces. He slow played from the blind. Everyone else had folded, so the pot's only 30. Flop came 6-4 king, rainbow suits. He says, I think this is a good flop for me. Yep, it is. Some bets, and I raise. End up all in with my aces. Now, how many chips do you have at this point, Dave? That's the key, because you end up all in with your aces. You've only got an overpair. All right, 6-4 king. Very unlikely that someone's got a monster, but they can do. Lost to the flop to someone holding 6-4, 2 pairs made on the flop. That, for me, is bad. Bad play, Dave. Bad Dave. Why? Because there's a big difference between getting all your money in and having the guy outdraw you and losing. You know, he says it's early position, slow played from the blind. Everyone else has followed, so pot only 30. It's heartbreaking when you make a bet of 240. If someone bets and you raise and you make it 240, and then someone pushes in on you for 1,000, but you've got to fold it. Got to fold it, I think. If it's a bet, a raise, you've got to be able to read the signs. For all your money to go in there, enough betting must have taken place for you to go, you know what, I've got a good hand, but I've not got a great hand. Okay, Jack-Jack, short stack, bet out, called with ace-king. Caller hits an ace on the flop, loses again. Okay, that's poker. Best hand I made was a loose call with off-suited ace-9, made a double-up pair of nines, so it seems it's very hard to play pairs early on a multi-table as it's so easy to get outdrawn, even with the rockets. Do you have any advice? Dave, I've sort of given you advice as we've gone through that email, to be honest with you, bit by bit. Some things you're doing great. A couple of things there, basically, with the aces you need to look out for. I don't know exactly how you lost money with the queens to your kings, but again, if it was a similar sort of thing to the aces, if you had a short amount committed on the flop and people were giving you big, strong signs that they were better than you, you're going to make mistakes, but in the long run, you need to make fewer and fewer mistakes. You need to understand their betting patterns. You need to say to yourself, Nick's very good at this, actually. He says, what can I beat? What can I beat? Let's just go through that. And I'm sorry to sound like this is patronising, but honestly, if you drill these things, you will get better at them. If you're in this situation, and before you do what so many people on these TV tables do, which is make a really quick decision, stop, think, what can I beat? Ask yourself, is it likely, not possible, likely that anyone's going to have one of those hands that I can beat? And if it's not, you should fold. Okay, that said, let's get to another game. Through the paused matrix, and we arrive at the end of that sit and go that we were looking at earlier on. Terribly exciting. And the blinds are only 163.20 and we're three-handed, so that's a good situation. Should be a bit of play in this. Let's have a look. But thanks, Dave, for the email. Thanks, Poostash. Some fantastic things there. Buffett on the button. Buffy wrote a great email into the show last night. All of them are appreciated, folks. You know it's my job to give my opinions. Sometimes I disagree, sometimes I agree. Sometimes you'll agree with me, sometimes you'll disagree. Doesn't matter. It's the great thing about poker. It's a game of opinions. It's like politics or religion. Less aggressive than religion these days, I find. Religion's really gone off, hasn't it? Don't you think? It used to be all about love and... No, seriously.
It didn't used to be all about love.
No, maybe not. Maybe not. Buffy takes it down. Heads up struggle. It's Titanic here. Miss Votavova with the ace-10. Just makes it up there. Interesting. I wonder whether that's a mistake that might go down as similar to some of the mistakes I made last night. Votavova. Kind of thing that maybe we should be pushing, applying pressure. Not a good enough hand to slow play. (10-3). V King 2. Kara at the moment in chip dire straits. Let me tell you something, Kara. I came back from that to win my third tournament. Less than that, in fact. And the other day in a multi-table, I came back from 70 to 4,500.
Well, I'm glad that you do so well.
No, I'm saying anyone can do it. It's just the cards play themselves.
What is that?
What
is that?
It's. You were timed out in the previous
What?
hand.
And
yeah. We're going to discuss that when we watch the tournament
I could cry.
later on. That is a really
Oh,
horrible
I could
situation.
cry.
Let's hope that you would have been outdrawn.
Oh.
It's one of those fate things.
Yeah.
Someone's been smug bugger, eh? I wasn't saying that it was my good play. What I was saying is that anyone can come back from that, and you can too. Come on, stay focused. Stay focused.
Stay focused. I can't believe that just happened.
Sorry, folks, my attention got distracted from the cash game there by yeah, you see? You see? No. That's bad, isn't it?
Right.
That is unfortunate.
Just, deep breaths. I'm fine.
Deep breaths. Okay. Time for another email, I think. I'm holding the show together brilliantly
You
tonight.
really are.
I tell you what it is.
I'm a mess over here. I'm glad you are holding things together.
Making Jam. Fantastic regular of the show. Thank you very much, Making Jam, for emailing in. He says, hello, Cara, and Blondie.
Oh.
Last night I was called Princess Diana.
Really?
Tonight I'm being called Blondie.
Bless your heart.
What is that about? Ace is full there. Ace is full of jacks. Is Nicken going to... He's not going to nick it, is he? Folds. Very impressive. Very impressive. Making Jam says, funny story I thought I'd share with you. Playing the TV multi-table tournament tonight, I was chatting to one of the players who my wife was playing in Cass's... Chatting to one of the players who my wife was playing is Cass's single table tournament last night. I think in Cass's single table tournament last night, when I was dealt 10-10 in the cutoff. I raised to 4 times, and the player I was talking to, who was in the small blind, said LOL, and he raised all in. I had him well covered, but dwelt up and told him my hand before I called his bet. Then, to my horror, I say the button. I saw the button was still in the hand, and also called. Flop comes rag 10. So he's made 3 of a kind. I check, so I've done something very unethical, but the button bets to put me all in. I have to call. He turns over ace queen off. Bizarre. That's why I love online poker. Well, it's interesting you say it's Making Jam. I mean, you're obviously one of our English viewers, and the point is, I don't think it is unethical, what you've done there. I think it's great. I think if you can use talking about your hand to your advantage to create some kind of an edge, I say, let's have more of it. This English thing about no speech play is just that. It's a uniquely English phenomenon, and I think it's rubbish. I mean, I've said this before. I was in a casino once, and I was told off for going all in a really pissed off way and standing up and putting my jacket on. Because apparently it was speech play, because I was trying to create the impression that either I was strong or weak. I mean, the fact is, you know, people don't know what you necessarily mean by it anyway. You could be a bluff, you could have a pair of aces and you're doing it. I didn't. The fact is, what then becomes speech play? Does a sigh become speech play? I mean, someone heard you sighing earlier on, didn't they? And they wrote in. So is that speech play? This line that you can arbitrarily draw as speech play, I think, is nonsense. So I think, inadvertently making jam, a brilliant move. Well done.
Well, my tournament is over, but everyone in the chat box seems to think I should play another.
All right, listen, I'm putting out fires all over the place here, so if you want to carry on,
really,
feel free to just waste my money. How much was that? That was a $2. Well, okay, well, that's fine. You can pay.
You are so good to me.
Pay the $2 if you want to. Just no higher, all right?
Okay.
Because, well, I have worked very hard for that.
I know, you really have, and it's for charity, and I
Charity.
and I don't want to.
What are you saying? What?
Charity.
Charity?
Yeah.
What, is that your
Sort of
Mary Poppins impression?
Yeah.
Is it?
Dick Van Dyke, I am. They're saying now that you said I could play a $50, but I'm not listening to them, obviously.
I haven't
online.
said that. And certainly not from Fast Bandit, because he made me say a rude word earlier on.
Shocking, that.
Just like Duff moment. We haven't seen a lot of Duff moment. Where's Duff these days? Where is Duff? Anyone know Duff? Where is he? He used to be there all the time. Fast Bandit is, I'm female. I know you keep saying this, I forget.
It's like they think all the poker players are men, I swear. The commentators always say
well, it's easier to remember.
I suppose it is as
well.
What
I would say is, I've got a lot of things to think about.
This is true. You are holding the show together on your own.
You're going to sit down in the seat number what? Third chair.
Yeah.
Seat number 3 of what tournament?
What limit blue. Is it a $2 blue? Yes, I believe it is a $2 blue.
It's where Stevie and PFC, Fosh, are playing right now. And Kara's going to sit there in seat number 3 there. All right, guys, so all be good.
Yep, thank you very much.
What's happening on the screen?
What is happening on the screen?
Well,
What's with
King
all that
of Ying
poker?
has 2 pairs, and bet the lot. Really can't afford to bet the lot. I'm not sure, having just come into the hand now, it's difficult to see how he got into this situation. But he has. Tell you what, folks, a new feature here on Poker Night Live. The next question to be written into the chat box on the table will be answered by me.
Ooh.
Next question. Seat 3. Who is it, Beardy or Fish? Fish.
Well, Fish let me sit down the last time, I think.
Oh,
so
that's all right.
It doesn't
okay,
really seem like...
So we'll seat 5. Riemann. Get out of the seat. Thanks, Kerry. Yeah, we'll let Fish play. But Riemann. Out of the seat. No, is the tournament starting?
I think it is.
Oh, God. Well, that's it.
Oh, wow.
Riemann. They won't like it. There you are. They are brilliant. Power of TV. Someone else has taken it. Geordie, well done.
And then Geordie...
No, that's good, because Geordie's going to let you have it, because Geordie did that last time, which was very kind of Geordie.
Yeah, I'm definitely ready to sit down. Clicking.
This is classic television.
Isn't it? This has got to be so
where
interesting.
was the question in the chat box? No one had anything.
How old are you? Yeah, someone said...
How old are you?
Yeah.
32. It wasn't much of a question. Thought it'd be something about the flop. A7 for Gallo, 2 pairs. And Kara is safe.
Thank you so much.
Safe.
Thank you. Is it Geordie? Thank you.
How is Gallo going to extract value? Is he going to slow play this? It's a rainbow flop. Is he going to raise it up? He's got someone behind him. It's a candidate for slow play, certainly, but he's raised it. No problem with that. Smooth couple obviously fold. Question is, will bet the lot like his jack kicker? Hard to read the guy for 2 pairs because the next card's very low, but much easier to read him for ace king or ace queen. That's what we're putting him on right now. I'm really not going to be raising unless Gallo's a loose player. I haven't been watching Gallo's play. There are all sorts of situations that might contribute to that. And check we go. Oh, it's not Gallo, it's Gullo. It's my friend who I had the heads up with. Oh, and he does it again. He's outdrawn him. He's only gone and outdrawn him. What a silly game poker is.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Now, Don't be letting yourself time out again.
No, I won't.
Or
I
you will
promise.
fold another good hand.
I know, that was so painful.
It was bad, wasn't it?
That's the first time that's ever happened to me.
Okay, next question to get us in the chat box will get answered.
Well, they asked you about your hair again.
Well, that's not a question, is it?
No,
I mean, that's
isn't
just
really,
abuse. I don't say next abuse will be responded to. The thing was, I went to tell you what it is about my hair. Shall I tell you what it is about my hair?
What?
Well, people, you know what it is? These are the same people that then go on the forums the next day and say, "Oh, they were just rambling on about their lives and not talking about poker."
See, now they want to know about your love life. I just don't know if it's
They want to know about my
appropriate.
sexuality, don't they? That's what they want to know about. Guys, you'll just have to continue guessing. I really couldn't care less what you think. I go into the hairdressers and I say every time I have strong gold pigmentation. That's what I've been told.
Oh, I see.
By my hairdresser. So you're going to have to leave the dye on for much longer than usual. Do they do it? Do they help? And so they have to put dye on 3 times, and by the time it's been on 3 times, it comes out white. Tragic Trev has made me an offer.
Yep.
Trev, you know, send in a photo, and I feel quite queasy.
Oh.
Change hairdressers then, says Fast But then I have to start all over again. Anyway, look, we're not here to discuss films. We're here to discuss poker, and poker's going to be discussed. So Smooth Cut raises it up with Ace-6 suited. Is that a raise you'd be making, ladies and gentlemen? Not for me. Not for me. Is it good cash game play? Not for me personally. 4 times the big blind. Ace-6 suited. Observer Geordie says, cash over into Wales. I used to live in Wales for a year. I'm quarter Welsh, I think. My mum's mum is Welsh, and yes, I lived there for a year. Very happy year. Very lovely. Went out with a girl from Wales, from the valleys. Can't say her name, but great relationship. Wonderful girl. I had to finish when I moved to Vegas. In fact, it was in Wales where I was reading all the poker books. It's where I did my degree in poker. Not officially recognised degree, unfortunately, but a lot of fun. I literally sat in my house in this tiny Welsh village, just ploughing through poker books every day and thinking, Johnny Patrick's weird.
I love it when you talk. It so makes me laugh.
Trevor's singing What's in the Hole in the chat box, which is takes some doing.
Oh, that's quite funny.
Fast Bandit's convinced I'm gay, isn't it? Is it because I'm good looking and sophisticated, do you
I think he's just hoping.
This is she.
Oh, she is just hoping, pardon me. Oh, yes, because, yes, this is true.
She's trying to deny her innate deep down desires. Gullo with a pair of 4s has just called, playing as a drawing hand. Smooth Cut, dead to a 6, but will it play out that way? Let's have a look. Smooth Cut checks. Gullo also checks. I'm not sure whether Gullo shouldn't be betting there, really. Certainly by the turn. It kind of feels like you shouldn't, because it sort of like feels that the stakes are small, but as we always say, if the stakes are too small, if you don't want to win that little pot of just over $1, then go do something else. Don't sit there playing poker in a 25-50 game. Email from Beth. Just for the record, farce_bandit is most definitely not a mister. Well, I wasn't when I got dressed this morning. P&L has taken over our house, by the way. Kids watch the reruns in the mornings to see if they can spot either me or Scotty, my husband, who plays regularly on the TV tables. They're not on the same table as me, obviously. They're starting to regularly win on our little home games. Maybe we can retire early on their winnings in the future. Not just in the home games, Fast Man. It's a zero-sum game. You're just passing money from your kids to you. It's not going to increase your household income. We've both very different styles of playing, but very similar returns over time. I've tried playing the way he does and actually find it very hard going. As long as we're enjoying playing our own ways and getting returns over time, does that mean that neither of us is playing the wrong way? Is it possible to have such varied styles which work? Great show as usual, guys. Caspar the hair is definitely looking better tonight, by the way. Yeah. Yeah, that's me. That's all my work.
I know.
68 quid on a haircut. I do a better job with a pair of clippers in about 20 minutes before rushing off to do a training session.
I like it.
It's a rip-off, isn't it?
It's the glint off the top I really like. From this angle. Lovely.
Beth, I don't think there is a right way to play poker. In fact, I don't think there's even, you know, right things to think about anymore. I think it's all luck. Let's go back to a game. You know, you get to a stage in your life where you just think, do you know what? I'm wasting my time. I'm literally sitting here saying there's some sort of skill involved in this game, and basically...
It's all luck, huh?
Well, look at the evidence. Dave Devilfish says Gus Hansen's lucky. He's someone who knows about poker. He says Phil Ivy's getting lucky at the moment, or he does think he's a good player. Tom McAvoy went from being world champion to a nobody. Ron Stanley went from being 4th in the World Championships to playing in the 10-20 game with me in Las Vegas. He's a good player. It's all luck.
It's all luck, huh? Am I
Right.
chatting too much in the chat box?
Well, you know, you're not partaking in the show, so...
Oh, I'm
You
sorry.
draw your own conclusions. It's fine. Actually, to be honest, I'm enjoying it more.
Oh, great, I'm glad you
I
are.
just don't think it's
So
suffering.
you don't need me at all, thanks.
Not really.
Someone needs their sweetie fix.
I think I've had enough. Okay, email from Rob here. Long one, another long one. And I'm reading it out, and it has no complimentary comments about me anywhere. So there you are. First, emailing you to hopefully help out viewers who play very low stakes, no limit hold'em. Fantastic, because I tell you what, I'm drawing a blank. The biggest complaint I hear is about players getting called with junk by 3 or 4 players at the table and getting outdrawn because it was just a few cents for the fish to call, even though it's probably a 3 times the big blind raise. Well, I've been playing for months at the 5 cent, 10 cent low limit tables, and I've been using a certain strategy for playing against the fish, and believe me, it works. Now, Rob is sharing a strategy with you right now, folks, so I hope anyone listening has got a pen and paper and are writing this down, because this is going to be red hot stuff. Here we go. It works. All the time I've been doing it. I've been playing a minimum of 500 pounds per day, but you... excuse me. I'm going to die. But usually it's over 1,000. It may seem a lot, but I play 4 tables at once. Cool. I play very tight, usually around 7% of hands. Getting this, folks? 7% of hands, that is very tight. When not in the blinds, okay. Including playing the blinds, it's around 14%. I think the high percentage of blinds play is due to players at this low level wanting to see flops, and therefore they tend not to raise as much as in the higher stakes games. Good, interesting point. Playing tight like this is necessary, as you must get the image of being a tight player. I'm going to repeat that sentence for the hard of thinking. You must get the image of being a tight player. That does not happen over the course of an hour or 2 hours. It happens over the course of days, weeks and months. The image, the reputation. Now to the golden nugget of my strategy. Well put, Rob. It's very simple and it works. I think we've got that now. Although I play at the 5-10 cent table, I treat it as a 10 cent, 25 cent table. Wow. And play like I'm a bit short stacked. I'm loving this. I raise 4 times the big blind, which on a 25 cent table is $1. However, as I'm on a 10 cent table, it's the equivalent of a 10 times the big blind raise. Now you'll take down pot after pot pre-flop, and when finally you do get called, you don't mind because you're only raising with premium hands. If you connect with, for example, your ace-king and then bet $3 on the flop, $3 on the flop, you may get called by someone with a poor ace. If you miss and it's checked to you, or someone makes a very small bet compared to what's in the pot and then raise it $3, believe me, you won't get called by anyone unless they have the nuts or very close to it. You know what, Rob? This is absolutely brilliant, I think. It's one of the best emails we've ever had, and I say that without impunity. It's true. After doing this for a while, some will call you pre-flop just to have a go at outdrawing you. Yes, that will happen. That's fantastic. If they do it heads up, oh, love them, love them. Most of the time they miss, and your post-flop bet will usually take the pot down. Very soon you'll find your $10 starting stack creeping up to $20 or even $30. Now you can even stand your aces or kings getting cracked and still have more chips than you started with. Fantastic. I've been doing this for months and I've never lost all of my initial $40 starting money, 4 tables at $10. My losing days are very few and far between, somewhere around 5% of the time. Most times I win, and some days I win very well. It's aggressive poker, and it works. I've waited a while before emailing you because, as they say, one swallow doesn't make a summer. Do you remember when Club Ancient to 30? I know you won't remember because you weren't in this country then.
Well, I do remember, yeah.
Club 18 to 30 ran a poster campaign with that, among other phrases. It was a brilliantly written copy. Club 18 to 30 is a holiday that people go to have sex. Yeah. And the line was, one swallow doesn't make a summer.
Oh, that's awful.
It's brilliant. But after something in the region of 50,000 hands, I feel confident that this strategy works. I'd be interested in your opinions about this strategy. Well, I've given them liberally. So the big question, how much have I made? 53,200 hands over 50 days play on 4 tables, averaging 13,300 hands per table and 1,064 hands per day. Total profit. Are you ready for this, folks? Total profit. $1,179.44, which equals $22.17 per 1,000 hands, or $23.59 per day. Not bad for a 5-cent, 10-cent limit. What do you think? I think it's fantastic. I can't argue with it at all. I think it's absolutely brilliant, Robin. 53,000 hands. We say 100,000 hands is approximating the long term, but 50,000 is, masses. And there's absolutely no reason to suspect that the next 50,000 are going to be any different. In fact, probably going to be better, because you'll become a bit better each time, bit better judgment on the flop. Brilliant. Fantastic email. If I could give you a prize, I would. And I hope lots of people were listening to that, because that really was excellent. And on that note, we're going to go to the big green thing, the multi-table tournament.
The big green thing, huh?
Yeah.
I like a bit of multi-table. I've never played one myself.
You're being euphemistic.
No, I actually...
No, you really do?
No, I really do mean the multi-table.
How you doing in the single table?
Well, I'm desperately trying to focus tonight, I have to say. I'm desperately trying to focus.
I'll be honest with you, people who are focused don't use words like desperate.
Or trying.
I mean,
suppose,
I'm no professional psychologist.
Mm.
How are you feeling?
How am I feeling?
Yes.
Well, well, a little desperate.
Okay. Fruit bats, taking it up to 25,000. Wonder where he sits on the curve.
One of the viewers has just written in the chat box that that they want you to know that you are loved,
Aww.
despite what everyone is saying.
Aww.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
It's all gentle ribbing, isn't it?
It is, that's all.
Please don't have nightmares. I've always wanted to say that on telly, and I've had my own show for 9 months and I've never said it. Please don't have nightmares. Treader with ace king on the button. My situation, not going to get paid for it. Look at the blinds now, 600 and 1,200. It's funny, isn't it, when you get to the end of the tournament and you've got like 600,000 in chips and you remember back to the days when you had 1,000. And does anyone think like me? Does anyone think, if I could do this in real life in a cash game, if I could just start off in the first cash game, like 10-20, right, with a certain stack, and then just play it like a tournament and keep on moving up the cash games as if the limits are increasing in a tournament, I could have £1 million by the end of the night. I've done it in a tournament, so what's to stop me from doing it in real life?
I guess so.
There must be something. It can't be that easy. If anyone else has had that thought, do email in and tell me why, what you think stops you from doing that in real life. Yeah. Text number, folks. Sorry, my producer's shouting at me in my ear. 62221. Do you know how many things we have to think about now? I've got Kara to my right asking me for advice.
I'm not asking for advice.
I've got producers... Well, I'm giving it anyway. Producers in my ear shouting at me. There's the phone number. You know the drill. Too many to answer. Poppy raises with the flush draw. Mike Caro says, don't treat your bankroll like a tawny buy-in. What does he know? He's mad. Have you seen him? He messes up his hair before every interview, like Boris Johnson. Sorry, I was reading the chat box there. Dalmatinac says that. Interesting.
He's Canadian, you know, Dalmatinac.
Is he?
Yeah, he is.
Do you have long, wistful conversations about the old country?
Ah, yes.
Prairies, ooh, you know.
They're big.
Hundreds of them, miles. Bibiki. I'm not going to comment on this because these names are too stupid. Pop 3Y and Bibiki. Fruit Bat, 7-8 on tilt. We saw him last night. It's good to see him again. Welcome return for 7-8 on tilt. On tilt with a 7-10 suited in the small blind, and shred, look at that, almost exactly the same hand with the ace-king suited. How bizarre. Not going to get paid again. 4,800. As I think about it. 6,000 this time, 5 times the big blind. Wants to make it look more desperate. Thinks 4 times. May have looked like it wanted a call. Email from Mark. I'm a professional sports bettor. Quite new to poker, but I love your show. It's quickly taught me to play poker to a reasonably high level. Well, you haven't been listening. Otherwise you'd be at a very high level. Earlier today, the most bizarre thing happened to me. I just wanted to know what the chance of this happening was. I got pocket 2s 3 games in a row. I'd love to know the chance of this happening. Well, basically, we say it's 220 times 220 times 220, which is roughly, if you say 200 times 200, is 4,000? No, 40,000. Is it? What's 220 times 200? Why am I having problems with this?
40,000.
It's
yeah.
40,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we say it's that times 200. Is it? It can't be that. I'm going completely mad. No, I'm not.
No, you're talking to yourself. You are going completely mad.
Yeah, the chances of having pocket 3s 2 times in a row must be 220 times 220 times 220. Yeah. Just seems like an awful lot. And it is a lot. The only thing that is that I would say, actually, the chance of getting any 2 specific cards, so let's say, you know, ace-2 suited, or ace-2 of clubs, let's say, chance of getting ace-2 of clubs, or 10 of spades, 6 of diamonds, the chance of getting those 3 times in a row is actually 330 times 330 times 330, which is even more. Can you imagine? Nearly 100,000, 100,000 times 300 is 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is this good telly?
It's fantastic telly. This is wonderful telly.
30 million. 30 million to
Wow.
1. Who would have thought it? That's greater than the chances of me coming first, and second. And they're pretty slim. So there we go, Mark. It's big old odds, but you wouldn't want to count them. Got 21 players left in this multi-table tournament. A little bit less than that now. Average stack is 18,000. 18,000. Just over 10 times the big blind. Largest is 36,000. And we've probably got 2 tables left now in this tournament because we've filled up to 7 or 8 players. We've probably got 14 or 15 players left. Tiddly stack, less than 2,000. He's probably bust out now. We could have doubled through, who knows? How are you feeling now, Karen?
Well, I'm feeling a bit better, less desperate than I was.
How much did this tournament cost?
This one was, I think, another $2.
Okay.
See, I'm not using up all your money.
No,
I
that's
swear.
fine, but you owe me $4.
I'm good for it. But Dr. Tom owes me like 45 or something.
Okay,
so.
well, I'll take it off Dr. Tom, but it's about £3. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's a big packet of M&Ms in the cinema.
Fair enough.
Yeah?
Okay, well, I'm not paying for you to get into the cinema, though.
Do you know what?
well.
When I saw Kaposi, no, not Kaposi, when I saw Good Night and Good Luck, which
Yeah.
was also brilliant.
I can't wait to see that.
Got through a big packet of Maltesers,
Yeah.
cinema packet, and a big box of fruit pastels.
See, I like it when someone eats a lot of sweets.
Oh, it's
I trust people who eat a lot of sweets.
Really? There's no fibre in that, though, is there?
Well, no, but you need a little fibre in your diet as well. There you go.
Okay, folks, let's get some more emails. Rick in Salisbury says the following. He says, hi guys, love the show. I'm playing in a 25.50 cash game. He's $22 up. 25, 50 cent, I'm sure. I get pocket jacks, 2 places to my left, raises, all in for $34. This is a 25, 50 cent cash game. He gets 2 callers. I fold. The callers have 10, 10, 7, 7, ace jack. Should I have called? No. That's my answer, is no. Is this a mad and crazy cash game? Do you think that these people were calling with almost anything, like Mark talking about the, the games in Los Angeles? At the end of the day, anyone to raise all in for $34 in a 25-50 cash game is kind of nuts. I mean, I should be playing more in these games. Obviously, there's this standard of play, and wow, so much profit to be made there. But jacks are not really the hand to call with when you've got 2 other callers. Heads up, nice, because he's obviously a maniac. So it's very unlikely he's doing that with queens, kings, or aces. He could be someone who does it with queens and ace king because he doesn't like playing on the flop. But if he's doing it with ace jack, wow, brilliant. But no, don't beat yourself up there, Rick. Done nothing wrong. At the end of the day, it's 168 times the big blind with a pair of jacks, and don't leave yourself open to that exposure. Got to have good reads on players to make those kind of calls. Email from Garbett says, "Hi guys, I'm currently playing tournament poker at $5 buy-ins, single table tournaments. I want to move up to $10 single tables, but don't know what sort of bankroll I should have in order to do so." It's interesting, we've had a couple of emails about this. "I'm currently on a bankroll of $230 and winning tournaments consistently, even though I've had a few bad beats. Thanks a bunch. P.S. Caspar, you're a legend." Oh, shucks, you don't need to say this. Just because people were impugning my sexuality, you don't all have to make me feel good. I've taken worse than that. I work with Nick. What kind of bankroll do you need to have for single table tournaments? Mark and I were discussing this last night, and I'm inclined to agree with everything Mark said about bankroll, to be honest with you. He was spot on. You've got to have a massive bankroll to play in something like a £20 rebuy tournament. You've got to have, what did we say? We said something like, at least 100 times the buy-in. But to play in a single table tournament, a $10 single table tournament, first thing is if you're playing $5 buy-ins and you're making money, you'll make money in the $10. There's really not an appreciable difference between the two. If you're making money, then you're a good player. You're not going to notice a big difference until you get up to sort of $25, $30, I don't think. Players do start to get a bit more decent at 30, 50. But we said, you probably don't need much more than 30 to 40 times the buy-in. The fact is, it does depend on the variance. Hoofy wrote a great email later on talking about the variance in prima 8-table sit and goes versus slower 10-table sit and goes, and variance is greater in those. And when variance gets greater, folks, you have to understand this, it means your bankroll goes up. In Hold'em games where there's lots of pre-flop calling, the variance increases and the bankroll goes up. That's certainly true for limit games. That might not be so true for no-limit games. It depends what the action on the flop is. But anything where your variance goes up, your bankroll goes up. That's the whole point of it. So if they're very fast, then you probably need a bankroll of, let's say, $600. But if they're slow, I wouldn't want to have a bankroll of $230. If you can find $100 from your own money and make that up to $330, and you're a decent player, then I would say you're safe. Okay. Are you available?
Am I available? Like what, for weddings and bar mitzvahs?
Yeah.
I am, in fact.
What do people do at bar mitzvah when they say, I do bar mitzvahs?
I think it's probably telling jokes, doing a little song and dance number.
Really?
That would be my guess. Yeah. General entertainment. By the way, people are wondering why you won't pay £64 for a haircut, and yet you won't, you're going to save that money, but you won't give me £3 to just play poker.
That's the principle. Email from Russell. He says, "Hey, Caspar and Kara, what's your advice on river card hunters, or riverboat captains, as they call in Vegas? I come across so many internet players that live for the river, living for the river. How can you, like a good fisherman, how can you bet these out of a hand as they simply aren't going to go away, whatever? Your advice would be great." Well, the thing that you have to understand, Russell, is these people are your best friends. You've got to love these people. You don't want to bet them out of the hand. You want to make big value bets that they'll call. Because for every time that they outdraw you, the point is that you'll make money when they're incorrect. So if you believe they're on the flush draw or the straight draw or whatever it is, they're trying to hit their 2 pairs, bet enormously compared to the pot. That, by the way, is the basis of Rob's strategy earlier on. When Rob bets big, what he knows is that when they make those massive overcalls, they're making massive mistakes. That's why that strategy works. Same here. Close down their implied odds, bet big, make them pay massively. Sometimes they beat you. If you're not prepared to lose hands, you won't make money at poker. So on that note, folks, I'm going to end the pontifications. Hopefully Kara will be available when we come back after the break. But first of all, we're going to have another conversation with a journalist on the phone. Are we?
Hello, welcome back again to our little poker segment. But it's not just poker.
Pokerless segment, I think.
Well, it is actually pokerless. No, we're trying to draw links. It's more the film segment, really. It's poker in film, poker tenuously related to film, really, just generally film.
So let's talk about the classic.
Okay.
The classic which everyone thinks of when they think of poker in film. Of course, 20 years ago you thought about Cincinnati Kid. Now, of course, it's all about rounders.
Yeah.
I personally... And I talk as someone who, let's just put in the context of my life, when I'm 25, something like that, I'm a writer, I'm working in films, I go to Los Angeles, I have a meeting with one of the powerful agents at CAA, and he says, this is what you have to put in my right hand in order for me to give you a cheque for $250,000 in my left hand. And that's your first cheque you're going to get. And you know what? I look at him and I say, this is not what I want to do. There's no stories that I want to tell in cinema right now that are really inspiring me. So I feel I quite want to write a book about poker. So I've just come back from, I was in Vegas, obviously, on my way to Los Angeles. You know what you do.
Of course, absolutely. Yeah.
And I decided I wanted to write a book about poker. And at that point, for some reason, I don't know why, Nick put a copy of Big Deal into my hand. Now listen, folks, if you haven't read Big Deal by Tony Holden, have you ever read it?
No, I haven't.
Okay, it really, I mean, it's not going to improve your game necessarily, but it is the single book. I think it must have inspired more madmen like me to go off and become professional poker players than anyone else. And that book, which was a true account of Anthony Holden, the Prince Charles's biographer's decision to go and play poker for a year. True account of his year. And I thought, there's a great novel in this, there's a fantastic novel. And of course, because I was a film writer, I was thinking about writing it for film as well. The problem is, poker just doesn't work in the context of a story, because poker, the whole point of poker is it's so subtle. Do you know what I mean? The more that you get into poker, it's all about the subtleties and these things that it takes ages to learn. So how do you do that in the context of a 90-minute film? You know, it's almost impossible.
It's not sort of the Rocky scenario where, you know, someone goes and trains really hard and then wins a game and woo,
you can understand that because he just hits it.
Exactly.
I mean, actually, the interesting thing about that is boxing's really subtle as well. Do you know what I mean? None of that comes out in Rocky.
But in fight films, which are sort of more my genre, that's exactly it. It's the same kind of formulaic thing. So I see how you're saying it doesn't quite relate itself to poker.
That's right. But what Rounders does, which is brilliant, is take one classic poker scenario, which is the slow play, basically. And it talks about the classic slow play between Johnny Moss and Eric Seidel, which I think is a fascinating hand for so many reasons. Who did we have on? That's why we had Devilfish on the other day, who was talking about, laughing about that with Eric Seidel, which is really fascinating, the concept that Eric Seidel sits down now and laughs about it. Because, you know, that was the mistake that basically lost him the World Championship. You know, how often are you going to get heads up in the World Championship again? You know, with 5,500 players? Probably never.
Wow.
But it's a fascinating film, I think, because it tackles poker in the only way that you can, I think, in film.
Which is just taking a snippet, one section of it, one area, and just expanding on that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Problem with poker is it's represented in films and books and all the rest of it is it's basically usually very under researched.
Yeah, I can understand that because people see it as a cliche, and most people, if they're not involved in poker anyway, see it as not as a cliche in a bad way, but they only understand it in those sorts of terms. It's the gambler with the spurs on his boots, or it's the shady guy in the sunglasses, you know. And so people don't dig into it any deeper than that.
No.
It's like the classic Mel Gibson film, classic, I
Maverick.
Say. That's the one.
But it is, actually Maverick is a good representation.
Because I think it's quite funny, and it's you know, it's very entertaining.
It is.
As a poker film.
The last time I saw Maverick does not overlap with the time that I became a professional poker player, so I actually can't remember just how much nonsense Maverick is.
Of course,
it's not Hold'em, is it? They're playing draw in those days.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The thing is, I mean, there are things like EastEnders now that don't play table stakes. You know, when they represent it in EastEnders and things, one person will raise, you know, 5,000, and the room will go very quiet. Yeah, absolutely. They'll put the keys to the caff in.
Yeah.
But my understanding is that the phrase "the nuts" comes from the fact that people used to put, you know, $1,000, and I'll raise you the nuts from my horse and cart outside. That's where we get the phrase "the nuts" from. Yeah, it means you've got the best possible hand.
Okay.
And that's the point at which you put the proverbial keys to the Porsche in. So what do we say? What do we say about poker in films and books? Usually, it's not that good.
Right. But it's probably getting better. There's a new film, oh, actually I don't know if it's entirely poker related, more betting and gambling related too for the money. But I mean, they are trying, I think, to bring more, because it's such a big topic now. Everyone knows about poker, a lot of people play it. They're going to have to start representing it a bit more accurately.
That's very true, yeah. I mean, I think they're going to have advisors and things on the sets.
I'm available. Don't know about you. I'd do it. Right, we're going for a break. We'll be back with more poker very soon.
Sorry, folks, just been advising Cara there. Right. What have we got here? Loads of things. Fantastic email from Poustache, who says, great email, I agree, but if this works in lower rooms, why wouldn't it work at the higher levels with the same principle? I think what we're saying there is, did he fold? Did he fold to you?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
He did.
Good. We'll see what she had later on. Yeah, so that's a reference to an earlier email, which was Rob's brilliant email talking about his strategy in the lower limit tables, which is to bet big and to bet 10 times the big blind. Play a 10 cent table, as if it's a 10. What is it? Let me read the email instead of guessing. A 10 cent, 25 cent table. So, Poustache saying, why wouldn't it work on the higher levels of the same principle? Because if you don't get any callers in the bigger games, or if players outplay you on the flop, or if players re-raise you when they're better and they know they're better, in other words, doing all the things that good players do well, then the net effect of that is to lower your long-term expectation, which is what you're trying to get. So I think it does only work in the smaller rooms. That said, hey, let's have some practice doing it. But I want to come back to actually that email from, I don't say I've deleted it. I'm such a nummy. Anyway, the point was, he was saying, that what do you do with players? Yeah, here we are. How can you bet out these players who are river chasers out of a hand, as they simply aren't going to go anywhere whatsoever? There is this, I think it's a massive, massive, massive misconception in poker that the aim of the game is to win pots, to win money. It's not, it's to make money. The point is, when someone's chasing you, sometimes they will outdraw you. But do not let the fact that they sometimes outdraw you scare you or prevent you from doing the right thing. I said earlier on to, I forget who it was, but the guy who was thinking about throwing away ace, king and aces in the tournament, got to play them. Of course you expose yourself to the possibility that you flop 3 aces and get run down. Of course you do. But you've got to play them. That's what winning tournaments is all about. And for Russell, what I would say is that you've got to, it's great to put yourself in that situation where these guys are going to call you incorrectly. Of course they could beat you one time in every 5, but the net result, and that's the important thing, is that you'll make money in the long run. Okay? So I hope that helps, Russell. And Poustache, maybe if we could get an email back from Rob giving us his thoughts on whether it would work at, say, a $1, $2 table. Or maybe the guys who play in the 25, 50 cent 1 and 1, 2 tables could email in and tell us what their thoughts would be about raising 10 times the big blind before the flop and playing incredibly tight 14% of hands. Ken Hawkins, snap it, if you're out there, give us your thoughts on that as one who has played a very tight style. Okay, folks, that's the end of emails. Let's get back to a game. This is Cara's first game, which unfortunately she can't commentate on because she is still involved in a game, which is all tremendously exciting. But I will be commentating on it. We're just going to see up until Cara gets knocked out.
Yeah, which probably shouldn't take that long, let's be honest.
Okay, so anyone that was a little bit confused as to how Cara and I were talking about films when we were playing a game, if I could just point out that the film discussion was live, but Cara playing in the game is pre-recorded.
Yes, obviously. And
it's like a bot, if you will.
Yeah.
You basically just wrote a flirty comment every 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And that pretty much dealt with all the...
and I just hit enter repeatedly and no one noticed.
No, not at all.
No.
That's men for you.
Uh-huh. Easy.
Here we are.
Pretty much. Wow.
So, talk us through it. Where are you? Who are you?
I'm you at the moment. I'm Caspar B up there at the top. I had to use your password and whatnot because I didn't have enough money in mine. Shocking, really, considering how well I play. So thank you very much, and you're right, I do owe you £3.
Yes, you do.
I know. I will pay you back eventually.
Well,
Dr. Tom owes me like, I don't know, $35 or something?
no, he owes a charity $35. He's actually robbed a charity. That is kids' Christmas presents, sick children in a ward, like in Children's Ward, which is one of the few programmes that was worse than Biker Grove, have been robbed of Christmas presents because he can't stay disciplined in the early stages of a sit and go.
No.
Where does that leave us in society?
I don't know. What does that say about society in general? It's shocking, really. It's absolutely shocking.
Where's my Coca-Cola?
Can you say that?
Oh, there it is.
There you go.
Just did.
You're such a rebel.
It passes my taste test every time.
And Johan Heron wins another pot. And look, I get rubbish cards.
5-2? In the big blind, you're going to get a free ride at the moment. You can flop anything. Oh, not now.
Yeah, exactly.
That bloody Welsh.
Poker for taffy, anyways.
Not allowed to swear.
No.
All right, sorry, my cola drink.
Sorry, it was really noisy. Ah, there we go. So, double top, nice big raise there.
Look at that. Ace-king, flops an ace. Trips are out there. Does he survive this carry? Do you know? Can you remember? I can't wait. Can't wait to find out.
I cannot recall, but I think it's quite exciting, isn't it? Oh, I'm on the edge of my seat.
Look, Poker Tabby puts in the 2 times the blue red. See, I don't like that at all. I've got to tell you, Poker for Taffy, smooth call it, or wait till the turn. But don't put in the 2 times the big blind raise there. That for me is not. You can put it. You can get more money here. I mean, he actually bets into him, right? Okay, fine. I think he says I've got the flush draw and the top pair. I'm feeling quite good in this situation, but double top.
Yeah, trips wins out.
Poor moves, I'm afraid, double top. I'm sorry to be harsh, mate. It's not like I've never done it in my life, but overall, that is massively overvaluing and massively overcalling with a hand when your opponent is just sitting there telling you over and over and over again that he's better than you. I hope that's clear there, folks, because I know this is an amateur night, and let's just reiterate that point. Your opponent is telling you over and over and over again that he's better than you. He wasn't getting the odds at the end to call for the flush. His opponent had told him that he was better. He had to outdraw him. How had he told him? By betting, by raising on both the flop and the turn. Yeah. And making, both of them are the raises they couldn't have made clearer indications. He raised 2 times the big blind on the flop, which is a I've got a monster here raise, which I thought was the wrong raise, incidentally. Yeah. And then double top still bets into him on the turn. Well, great. The only benefit of that bet into him on the turn is that if it's raised again, we can get rid of it. We've only got top pair. And it's not only raised, it gets all in, and he still calls it.
Yeah, and you need to have a stronger hand to call than you do to raise, so...
Absolutely.
Ouch. Now, in the first early stages here, I thought I would try to see more flops, because it's only, if no one's raised it, it's only, 20 to call, so that's what I've done.
Right. Yes.
Because that's something I haven't done in the past.
No, you are with an ace.
It hasn't really done me any favours, I have to say,
I tell you
but
what,
at least I've tried.
I'd much rather do it with 7-2 than ace-7.
Really? Why? Oh, because it's easier to throw away 7-2.
It's easier to throw away. Yeah, you're not going to, now you're in the position where, as we can see as a classic example, because you're out-kicked by ace-jack, but you may have to throw away an ace, which is something that you need discipline to do. And
I can do
that. Now we're throwing this away now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good.
Absolutely. There's nothing in that hand, so
there's nothing in that
I just wanted to see. I wanted to see the flop. I didn't. Oh.
No.
Oh.
we may have pressed the wrong button.
I think I may have there. Oh well.
Sometimes in the heat of the game. And what's interesting there is that what you're saying now is that you absolutely would throw that away. Yes.
I would.
Yes. So that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that but it's interesting that we do things.
I know.
Go on. What are you saying?
Oh, sorry. I apologise.
No.
Every time I watch back my play, I think I should do something different than I've done.
Okay. And why do you think, therefore, you did the things that you did?
I don't know. Heat of the moment, as you're saying.
No, you're not allowed to say I don't know.
Heat of the moment, and I probably wasn't concentrating as much as I should have. I think you were quite funny.
Chatting in the chat box.
And you were very funny. and I could hear you commentating.
I was messing around, Karen. Let's not beat around the bush.
And I was amused.
I was testing the limits of my employers.
Just drag me down with you, please. Please. Oh, messages of support, everyone, please. Emails, so we can forward them on to our bosses.
Yep. Great show tonight, that kind of thing.
Yes, please.
Post in the forums.
Yeah, poker@pokernightlivelive.co.uk or
Some of you might not have liked it, but, you know, if you want me to
say
continue.
it anyways.
Heat of the moment.
Yeah, I got a pair of 10s.
Ooh, heat of the moment.
I'm waiting to see what happens. Okay, I'm in bad position, though. I mean, I'm fairly early position here. That's why I'm thinking about it for such a long time. Decided to make 3 times a big blind raise.
Good.
Standard raise.
Good. Called on the button, so you got a late position caller, not what you want to see.
Nope.
Horrible. Pair of 10s, early position. Even 24, Ginger might swing in with his 9-2. Well, we quite like that because we're getting dead money, but no. He would have hit his 9.
Now
you're better.
Anything.
You're better. So what are you going to do here? Quick, tell me.
I think I probably folded it because I didn't hit anything on the flop.
You don't need to. You've got a pair of 10s.
I should have done a continuation bet, shouldn't I?
No, it's not a continuation bet. You've got a pair of 10s.
I should have bet into it.
There's only one. The guy needs a queen to beat you.
Oh, look, I bet.
See, doing the opposite to what you say now, you're actually doing the right thing. Good.
Good.
And he calls you, right, well, that's a horrible call there, Poker Taffy. I don't believe that we can justify that as knowing that you can outplay Kara. That's just a bad call, per se. Unfortunately, now it puts you in a situation where there are 2 overcards to you, and you check it, and I don't think you're wrong to check it, and Taffy can now take it off you, as I suspect he will, and there it goes.
Pooh.
If you did that to me, I'd come over the top.
You probably would.
I would.
I don't have that sort of, I don't know, poker verve.
Right, now, this is what I want to get to. Right?
Okay.
What do you think is the difference? And folks, please allow me to say this without thinking that I'm showing off. I've got better things to do with my time.
Oh!
No, what do you think is the difference, therefore, between me at my level and you at your level? What's the difference? What do you need to get in order to... Because if we're trying to make people better players, what is the gap?
That's a really good question, actually. I think that would be really valuable to know the answer to. Let me have a think about that.
Yeah, have a think, because that's the nub of how to get good at poker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's almost something that's intangible that you can't teach.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, I completely
By the way,
agree.
I'm not saying that I would have come over the top of Taffy there on that thing. I was slightly joking there, so I don't want to use that as a bad example to prove a point. The point is, where does judgment come from in poker? Because if we can start to flesh out that a bit, then we can start to really make progress and move down this road of getting better at poker, I think.
I think playing a lot more hands. Personally, I think being able to see what I do with hands, make the mistakes, or make good bets and good raises and win hands, and just see what the variety of hands are and how they play throughout a game. But that's going to take ages.
But what do you get from playing all those hands? Nice experience. Sorry, I'm being really demanding.
No, it's a good question. It's a really good question.
Some people would say, all right, you get experience, yes, fine. What does experience give you? It gives you judgment, yes, fine. What does judgment give you? I'm just trying, because I think it's something to do with patterns. This is what I think. No,
that's exactly what I think. That's that's exactly what I think. There are definite patterns out there, and there probably are. I think once you start to see the patterns, you can play them more confidently as well. And it's about playing the principles rather than just doing the exact same thing with the exact same hand every time. Because you're very rarely going to get the exact same hand in the exact same position with the exact same chip stack. It just doesn't happen. But to understand the principles of what you would do and the patterns for certain hands, that is something that I think I do desperately need as a novice player. I still get really nervous and think, what should I do with this in this position? And I wish I could just relax and play, play the situation more, rather than just the cards.
I remember, I've told this story before, when I came back from my first 6 months in Vegas, I played my dad at poker, and bear in mind, my dad taught me to play poker when I was very little, so of course he fancied himself as a bit of a player. And he played ace-king, and he played it in such a classic way that when he turned over his cards on the river, I said, ace-king, and he thought I'd read his mind or done a magic trick or loaded the deck or something. He couldn't believe, knowing very little about Texas Hold'em, he couldn't believe that I knew what 2 cards he had.
Yeah.
Because he didn't know the significance of ace-king or anything, do you know what I mean? He didn't know what those patterns are. Now, even after 6 months of playing in Vegas, ace-king creates such, known grooves, patterns of play are so recognisable with Ace King. Not in terms of the way that people play it after having read 3 books, but the way that people play it instinctively. They look at it and they see 2 pretty cards. You know, they raise it up, they miss the flop, they bet out, they then check and check, and you just know Ace King. And you can tell by the confidence with which they raise before the flop, and the context in terms of how often they raise them before the flop, and then what will they raise with, and you can put it on Ace Queen. If they miss the flop with Ace Queen, for example, they tend not to bet out. Yeah, whereas Ace King, they kind of feel they've got the best possible 2-card holding. All these things are very subconscious. The point that I'm making is, you know, when I sit down with really good players, they see through me. If I sit down with a really, really good player in a casino, they see through me. And part of that is my own paranoia, but part of it is they've seen my patterns. Yeah. Now, this is less so or interesting these days in the days of internet poker, where there are so many, you know, hotshot young 22 to 32-year-old players, and many of them play in different ways. But in the days that I was playing, you know, if you went to London, there was pretty much this type, which was, you know, university educated, young player, got into poker a little bit before the curve. You know, they knew what 12 books you'd read, they knew what your aim was in the game, and they could just play you, you know, very easily. And I think it's all about patterns. The word that I sometimes use is anchors to mean the same thing. You know, anchoring certain play situations with big pairs in any position. When someone calls or raises 2 times the big blind, at a certain table, you get a certain feel for it. Very little of this is conscious, but you get a certain fear and wariness for the fact that they could have big pairs in that situation. And depending on the texture of the flop, has an ace or a king fall on the flop? Do they feel they've got an overpair and they're betting out aggressively because of that? Those things are patterns that you spot. And so that's the first thing I think. So that's quite a long-winded answer, but patterns is very important.
No, I think it definitely is.
The second thing is image, isn't it? The second thing is image.
Absolutely.
It is harder for you to win playing than it is for me.
I think so.
What would be interesting would be for you to log on one day as Caspar B.
Right? And for you to log on as Great Scott.
Well, we can be log on as Great Scott, absolutely, yes,
definitely.
definitely.
Probably do my image a bit of good as well, not to mention my my chip sacks.
But if you logged on as me, I think you get a lot more respect. I mean, I tend not to raise from the small blind, for example. We'll talk about that move in just a minute. But I bet if I did, as Caspar B, Johan wouldn't call me with 5-8.
Betcha, and definitely calls me every single time almost.
Because he can outplay you on the flop.
Yeah.
It's profitable for him to do it. Because if you miss, you're going to check, he's going to bet, and you are going to fold.
Yep, and that is exactly it. You know, what you're saying about patterns, that's exactly it. And this is where I've lost quite a bit. I've raised pre-flop, or even if I've just, you know, called and checked the flop, then they always come over the top of me.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, now I want you to repeat after me. All right? Do not raise from the small blind anymore without great hands.
Do not raise anymore from the small blinds without great hands.
Okay, because you're going to miss it more times than you're going to hit it.
Yeah.
And do not want to find yourself in that situation when you've just lost, like, you know, over 100 chips with nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Okay? And I hate raises from the small blind anyway.
Yeah.
I don't raise from the small blind with ace-jack.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm more inclined to throw it away.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm just in rubbish position.
I keep hearing this, and then I'm in a game and I don't do it. But it's something I need to remember.
You won't hear it that often. There's not many people who will do that. I honestly think it's a losing play.
Yeah.
It's all about expectation. Ace-jack feels lovely, doesn't it? Oh, Caspar, are you sure? You know, you've ace-jack. You know, there's 2 good cards. No, it's just an awful situation. It's an awful situation. Because the reason why it's awful is the same reason as why I don't like to raise with ace-9 on the button when I'm 3-handed, is because I don't want to put my tournament in a situation where I have to win with the cards. Yeah. And if I'm going to win with the cards, I want more than ace-jack or ace-9. Yeah. I want to be in a situation where I win because of the situation, because I'm going to take it down. But with ace-jack and ace-9, I'm so likely to be in a situation where I'm either not going to know where I am, or I could lose. That's different to what I was saying to our emailer earlier on, when I was saying bet out on the turn because they're only going to win 20% of the time. You know, 4-1, 5-1, that's much better than the 1.2, 1.7, 2.2 to 1 that you get with ace-jack or ace-9. Yeah. You're heartbroken here, aren't you, with the jacks and 2 overcards?
I am, yeah.
And Johan bets out, and rightly here, and that's a nice bet from Johan, because whereas sometimes you might slow play it, he's kind of banking maybe on the fact that you'll feel a bit beaten up by him, and that you will take a fit and try and raise him, and with his 2K he's sitting pretty.
Yep. Oh gosh. Even watching it's painful.
Okay, now you've made a straight here.
I remember this hand.
Okay. So that's a miracle card for you, actually. So...
I remember this hand.
Do you bet into it?
This is what I'm thinking. Do I bet into it, which I do, or do I let him raise it up and try to put more in? Or because I'm trying to think of how to get the best chips out of it.
Good, and that's fantastic. And I think you've done absolutely the right thing. You've done exactly what I would do. I don't know how Johan folds that, to be honest with you. That's a great fold from Johan, I've got to be honest.
Surprising, considering, he must have.
I'm not even sure, to be honest with you, I'm not even sure that, because the pot was how much? The pot was, well, I can see what the pot was, 26. 3 to 1, 5. He's 5 to 1 to make his full house. No, he's absolutely right.
I like playing against players who I can watch on the TV tables as well and know that they're very good players, because it certainly, well, it should make me focus anyways. I was a bit unfocused, I have to admit, but it's a good incentive to focus when I know I'm playing against people like, you know, Johan Heron or Posh.
Dan Giver says, hey guys, love the show. After just seeing your completely live feature on Film and Poker, I thought I'd email in about the rumoured film The Madison Kid, starring Hayden Christensen from Star Wars as the brat of poker, Phil Hellmuth.
Ooh.
Discuss.
Interesting.
Tell you what, you try and stop me.
No, really, try and stop him.
There's a lot to unpack there.
There is.
Hayden Christensen in a film, to start off. Guy can't act. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to kiss Sienna Miller, but... So, all right, there's a lot of jealousy there.
Okay. Yeah, because they're rumoured to have a fling.
Someone's decided to make a film about Phil Hellmuth. How do you play the 6-9?
I
Fold,
wish I could say I
hopefully.
remembered.
No, we just phrase it, make it up. Fold it! Small blind is rubbish.
See, exactly. Always fold from the small blind.
Not always.
Well, unless it's like
got
it's double aces or kings or something.
People just steal from small blind too often.
True.
Ooh.
Ooh.
This is nice.
It is. What do I do? What do I do?
Dave Devilfish said, standard raise, 3 times the big blind, or 3 times the previous bet pre-flop. That's interesting, isn't it?
Oh, I think this is
That would be an all-in.
Yeah.
Do you go all in?
I don't think I do. I'm trying at this point. Yeah, I'm not even going to explain what I was thinking at this point because it's too embarrassing.
No, go on.
Well, I was I'm sorry, I was fiddling with the software again.
Okay.
And
And then I was
no, I was actually trying to use the slider bar on the computer.
It's getting worse.
Anyways, let's watch this hand. It's very interesting.
Cool. Okay, something I said to Mark last night. Very, very rare to call with queens before the flop.
Right.
All right, and that's a classic example. You want to bet out there.
Yeah.
But you're in good shape. It's going to be tragic if
gone
someone
all
outdraws
in,
you
so
here.
I don't think...
Why? You think he's got a 5?
Yes.
But he wouldn't have raised that before the flop with a 5.
See, this is what I need to know, the narrative of the story.
Okay, there's only 2 hands
exactly
that he can have right now that beat you, and they are aces and kings.
Yeah.
They're the only 2 hands. He might have raised before the flop with 9s. But there's nothing else that he could possibly have that beats you.
Yeah.
Okay? And the one thing you do want to do is get Poker for Taffy out of this hand and create dead money. So you want to push all in there.
Yeah, because I've left myself 206 chips thinking, well, if I miss it, at least I know exactly. It's silly, isn't it? I was thinking survival, not win. And that's just not what you need to be thinking.
And I'm assuming, because I remember you having...
See, I don't even know what I was doing there. I think I was chatting to someone in the box about something.
Okay.
See, it's just really quite silly. And I've lost it.
Yeah, well, as we said, you know, PFC's money's all in. You can't do anything about that. So you can't do anything about the fact that he outdrew you with the jacks. That's not the issue.
No.
The issue is...
I should have
raise it before the flop. Yeah. And the issue is... don't let him get away with that on the flop. Okay. The fact that the jack fell is completely irrelevant because you can't do anything about the cards. It's all about doing the right thing at the right time.
Yeah.
Now, a friend of mine has something that he often says about greetings cards, right? Now, you know greetings cards with really awful rhymes in them? And he will always say, or bad jokes. Yeah. And he will always say, now, someone has written that and thought, yeah, that's okay, I'm going to submit that. Someone, presumably some sort of sub-editor of the company, has read it and thought, yeah, no, that's good, I'm going to put that to the editor or the boss. And the boss has presumably read it and thought, cool, print it, let's make the card.
It's true, right? You're absolutely right.
Same sort of things happened here, I think. Someone's thought, let's make a film about Phil Hellmuth, okay? Someone else thought, that's a good idea, give you money to write that script.
I just threw some kings away. Can I explain what happened there?
Go on, yes,
I didn't realise, but I'd timed out.
Yeah.
And I was trying to push all in, and it timed me out, and so it threw them away.
No,
and
you timed out on the previous hand.
Had I? Okay.
Yeah, and so it thought you'd gone away.
Oh, yes, because I was pointing to the little button that says, I am back, and going, what's this? To you, silently, and I didn't get back to it in time. I do apologise. That's terrible.
Yeah.
That could have saved my life in this game. It could have... Maybe not.
Well,
I'll never know now.
Of course, you understand the principle of the continually randomised deck, don't you? Continually randomised deal. What it means is that when those cards come down there, they are not the cards that would have come down if you had called or if it had come down a split second earlier.
True. Yeah.
So when that king comes down, there might have been a king on the flop, or there might not have been. So you'd have had kings full of aces, which is a massive hand, but you wouldn't necessarily.
Sad.
But here you are with ace queen straight afterwards. That's exciting.
Know, but even still, it just doesn't.
Doesn't do it for you?
No, doesn't take away the pain.
No.
I can't believe I had kings there. And I was looking at you going, oh, this is fantastic, I've got kings. And then I, timed out. It really should teach me to just focus on the poker.
Someone else has gone. A film about Phil Hellmuth. Brilliant. Brilliant. I think his life story will make a great film. Why don't we get Hayden Christensen?
Put them together.
See? See what they did there?
It's quite sad, really.
And Dan River seems excited about it.
I know. Maybe he's being ironic. Well, I think this is me out of the tournament now.
Oh,
dear. Goodbye. Ace Queen and Caspar B, a.k.a. Kara Scott. Because that's not Caspar. Let me just say that again. That was not Caspar.
Not live.
No.
That was live. No, it's not Caspar.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we think then as a final analysis?
I think that was a rubbish game on my part.
No, I don't think so.
No, I think it was.
Recognise patterns.
Yes.
Start.
Never.
Tight aggressive. Okay.
Tight aggressive.
No wishy-washiness. Don't start moving in with small blind bad situations.
Yeah.
Save it all up for the good situations when we've got a pair of queens, and then push. Think about it. You called with a pair of queens, and you raised with ace-6 from the small blind.
I know.
Okay.
Completely inconsistent.
No, that's fine. I don't mean to be.
No, it's fine.
Here.
Okay. Go on.
So think, what's the whole of the totality of the situation here? Put a money in when we're good, and put nothing in when we're bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the thing. I was trying to mix it up again this week. Didn't work.
Listen, it's better to mix it up than play completely tied.
I guess so.
Seriously, because that's where you learn.
Okay.
That's true.
But I did have another go.
Let's have a look at the other go.
Okay. Yeah. You're so kind to me for having let me have another go under your name. Thank you. So here we are. It's level 3. I'm not doing too badly at the moment. I think the poker gods in the gallery have decided to fast forward the game a bit. Get it to an interesting level. Hopefully I do a little better in this one, and I do recall that I did. There we go. Jack 10 for Andy, 1998. And their overcard comes down to both of them. So there's an ace on the flop. And I don't know what Posh is doing there, but it hasn't worked. Right. Queen 10. Early position.
Fold. I think you do, don't you?
I think I do. I am trying to think about it more, though, before I do it.
Good.
So make more thoughtful decisions.
To be honest with you, having skipped the first 2 levels, we're now at a level where it's much more difficult to play tricky. I mean, in the first 2 levels is when I like to call in late position with tricky, silly cards.
Yeah.
But there's very little you can do in this level. I mean, again, well, let's look at the facts. You know, you've got just over 5 times the big blind in your stack. We're already at the level where raises are basically all-ins.
Yep. Yeah.
Which means that, you know, these tournaments are effectively 16 hands of skill.
Yeah. At least I've made it past that point.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And you survived 2 knockouts.
I did. Yeah, so that's not so bad. I was out in 5th place, I believe, in the last game, so just trying to better that.
Well,
yes.
going on with 5th.
No, there's nothing wrong with fifth. And it is a pretty good job where you get to sit down and play poker and get paid for it, so
I'll tell you what, I really should remember that more often.
You should. It's a good job. I enjoyed it immensely. Now, throughout this whole game, I remember Beardy 200 bullying me mercilessly. So I'll have to watch and see if it actually looks as much as it felt. Because I think the way it feels sometimes when you're playing, it's not actually that way for a novice if you watch it back. And watching the games back, I actually see far different patterns than what it felt like. Maybe I'm talking rubbish. I don't know. I'll have to see. I do recall wishing I'd gotten more good hands, that's for sure. Right, if anyone out there is watching this and wants to give me any advice, oh, feel free. You can absolutely feel free. You can send me a text on 62211 and tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about my play, about Caspar's comments, if you agree with them or disagree. I'm sure you probably do agree, because it's great advice. poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Let me know what you think. Also, if you've got a comment about our little film segment, our entirely, totally live film segment, then do let us know, or have your say. 0906 200 70 80, but ask for permission, because there is a small charge for that. And back to my game. And Posh has gone all in with his 9-10 suited, and it's paid off for him. He's got 840 chips there. Right, now I'm in late position with King 5. Waiting to see what people do. And I don't know, I think pattern-wise, this is something I just need to play lots and lots and lots more hands. I'm thinking to myself, should I try to steal the blinds? Should I make a big bet, even though I don't really have anything, and, you know, I don't know, mix it up a bit? Because I've seen people do that watching the show and do it quite successfully.
Yes, and I wouldn't have done it there, and I can't explain to you why not.
Just didn't feel right.
It's so bizarre, isn't it? Yeah, because I mean, I've had to make raises in almost a similar situation with 4-7, and I've sat here and I've gone, like, the reason I do this is because I'm thinking about 10, 15 hands down the line. If I don't have the chips, then I'm screwed. The weird thing is, I'd rather raise now, and I can't tell you why. I honestly can't tell you why. It's nothing to do with the cards face up. I'm talking about, you know, if I was sitting there outside the situation.
Okay.
I think it's because I genuinely, I won't get the option because Beardy will raise in front of me, but I think it's because I genuinely do not like. Okay, I can tell you why. Thank God. we could have sat there for hours. I do not like raising for the button or the cutoff without having the goods.
Right.
Because if they re-raise me, in fact, I did just this, and viewers will remember, I raised with Jack 7 in the cutoff. And as I did it, as I clicked hit, send, raise, whatever it was, I thought that's a mistake, because the button's going to re-raise me all in. The blind is going to re-raise me all in. And he did. And I've got Jack 7, I don't have a call, right? If I'd done it from 1 or even 2 off, 2 or even 3 off the button, right, before the cutoff, he wouldn't have called me, because he'd have to have put me on a hand.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay.
Whereas from the button on the cutoff, he can go all in because he can say, I don't believe that Caspar or anyone else has it here.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have Queen 6, 2 off the button before the cutoff than King 5 in the cutoff.
Okay.
Yeah?
That makes sense.
Whereas if you give me Ace 10 in the cutoff, then I'm kind of getting happier again. As a steal hand, I'm kind of getting happier again.
Because at least it's got more potential.
Yeah, but there's suddenly this massive psychological thing. Now, you know, once again, say this on air, and of course people will go, oh, no, Caspar raises anything in the one before the cutoff. But I honestly think that's, if poker is a game of image and reaction and people's likelihood to do what you want to do, people are more likely to do what you want to do in an early position, as long as your image is good.
Yeah, so you have to think about not only what you're doing in this bit of the hand, but the next one as well. So what position are you going to be in for the next betting round? I see. Okay. Well, a bit dire straits. Not entirely so, but 740 chips there. The big blind's 160. In the chat box, I do recall everyone telling me I needed to push all in. So there we go. A pair of 4s and he's gone all in with over 1,000 chips. I just wouldn't have done that, but it worked. Maybe that's the point. I need to be a bit more aggressive. Right, so raise from Posh. He's gone all in. He's got a pair of 8s. Ace Queen from Wizard on the small blind. And again, I suppose he's listening to your advice there. Small blind, he's thrown it away.
I had Ace Queen and he threw it away from the small blind?
Did.
I probably wouldn't take it that far.
Okay.
But I'm not going to, you know, if someone feels happy with that. I mean, when I say I wouldn't take it that far, I don't stop that short, so...
Okay. Well, bullets from Kev Steele. But he's not really going to get paid, although the blinds are high enough, so I suppose it doesn't really matter at that point. Taking the blinds is good enough. And I can see the blinds coming around to me.
Yes, good. Well, that's good. What's that called?
Position?
Flying ahead of the plane.
Flying ahead of the plane. Oh, yes. I see, because I'm looking ahead. I'm trying to make sure I watch where I am.
That's right.
I'm certainly thinking about it.
Thinking a good 2 hands ahead and possibly even 2 blind levels ahead. What do I need to do now in order to account for the changes that are going to be happening in the future?
It is very Zen-like. It's interesting. All the commentators have their own sort of personality types, and you certainly you're a guru of poker. I think so, anyways. A guru.
You say that to all of us.
I don't. Not all of you. Right. I'm on the small blind now.
Thank you. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're welcome.
Difficulty taking a compliment then.
Seriously?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
All right, well, the blinds have gone past. They're going to be coming around quickly, but I am starting to think, okay, now I can wait and have a great hand, I'm hoping, and push all in and double up. At least that's the plan.
Gosh.
Because it's easy. You just get a great hand as soon as you need one.
Absolutely. As I did last night in my heads-up battle with Gullo. Ace King when I needed it. He outdrew me.
Oh, no.
Outdrew me.
Ouch.
To rob me of four straight victories.
Oh.
That's outrageous.
That is outrageous.
Outrageous.
Robbing all those poor children in the charities.
Kids in beds. It's not for me.
Yeah.
Seriously, folks, next time we're heads up.
Oh, that's just playing with people's heads, that is.
I wanted a teddy.
Oh.
I just got this second-hand cloth.
That's so mean.
Well, I'm just... Tools not rules, Kara. I can't tell you what to do, I can only tell you what to think. And what I'm saying now is think about the kids.
Yep, think about the kids. We're playing for charity. You could let us win.
Charity. Actually, when people beat us, I think they should make a small donation.
I agree. I think that's a fabulous idea.
I'll slow them down.
I can't believe we... Sorry.
Go on.
No, you go on. I keep cutting you off and I apologise.
There's a good joke told by a stand-up comedian, I forget who it is. He says, I have young stand-up comedians often come to me and ask me for advice. And I always say, really the best thing that you can do is to read the Old and the New Testament. And they say, will that help? And I say, no, but it'll certainly slow you up. What were you going to say? I'm sure it's much more.
I don't remember now, but I don't think it was all that interesting. I'm so sorry I keep cutting you off.
No.
All night I've been doing that.
Seriously,
Too much caffeine.
Someone's got to. I wouldn't be surprised if the producer's actually asking you to in your ear. I know I would if I was sitting in the hot seat. Oh, yes.
Oh, nope. Everything that falls from your mouth is pure poker gold.
Pure poker golden.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. I can't believe more people haven't emailed in commenting on the film segment. I thought that was wonderful.
If you want that to be a regular feature, folks,
please.
You're mad.
Yeah, but I would enjoy it so much.
Well,
we could do movie reviews and tenuously relate them to poker. Come on, it's a great idea.
Listen, you're preaching to the converted. Or the choir, depending on how you like to finish that particular idiom.
Preaching to the choir.
Ladies for Beardy. You're in a bit of trouble, aren't you, on this?
Oh, I so am.
And this sit and go. You haven't really had any situations for us even to talk about, have you?
No.
No.
No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. No. I really haven't. And at this point, it was during the break as well, and I was thinking, I could really use a cup of coffee. I could stand to go and, you know,
this is interesting, because isn't that the time at which you thought he was beating you up?
Yes.
Weren't we sitting there and thinking, oh, beardy.
Beardy, beardy, beardy.
Weirdy, beardy.
It's exactly it.
Yeah, and there he was, he had a pair of queens.
Yeah, so I guess he was genuinely. This is true then, so sometimes I'm seeing, you know, bullying where it's not there. I'm just overly sensitive.
Well,
Beardy, I apologise.
I think that's a lesson for us all there.
A
in
lesson
life.
in life.
Not in life, but in poker. I was trying to think about how to relate it to life, and I couldn't.
No.
But in poker, definitely, it's very possible to see things. Now, what do you do here? So, well, look, you're down to 260 again.
I know. I've got less than the big blind. It's terrible. Now I've got 8-10. I got nothing. I'm on the button.
I got nothing.
I got nothing.
Is that your Robert De Niro impression?
No, it really wasn't. That was me.
Brian De Palma, The Untouchables, 1989. Robert De Niro, you got nothing. You got nothing.
You do that much better than I do. And I'm even from the right continent.
I can't do it at full volume because the microphone breaks.
Ah, well.
It's such a
I
brilliant
got
song.
nothing. I got absolutely nothing. Now I've got Jack Queen. And now I'm thinking, oh, hooray, 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 all in. Let's see what happens. Beardy's got too many chips to let me do that. So I'm just hoping and hoping and hoping.
No, you make it straight.
Hello.
Music by Ennio Morricone. In about a 3-year period, he wrote the music for that, Cinema Paradiso, and Bugsy.
Ooh, wow.
Now, Bugsy's not a great film, but the music is beautiful.
It
and
is.
all right, there is 16 bars that's almost identical to Cinema Paradiso. But if you IMDb Ennio Morricone, he's written the music for 560 films. And that's
impressive.
just 3 of them.
Well, when they
And
say
some
they've
of them are
written the music,
masterpieces.
when they say they've written the music, though, and they're getting all the credit for that, they could literally be writing 16 bars and then giving it to someone to arrange, and they do all the rest of the work. I know, a friend of mine's a film composer.
Are you criticising Ennio Morricone?
No,
Is that
I'm
true?
saying in general.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Really?
Absolutely.
Well, they just write the theme.
Yeah, because didn't it say...
That's money for old rope, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Oh, look, I've got 1,500 chips. I rock. And I've got a flush.
Good.
Pushing all in, just going all in. And then I kind of lost it, but you know what? This is very exciting.
Good, now you just made a 2 times the big blind raise there.
I don't remember why.
Just maybe hitting the wrong button.
Probably.
Now that is when you go all in from the small blind.
Okay.
Okay? That is when you do it.
Yeah.
Now when you have to.
Yeah.
Okay? Not...
Look at that. I'm the chip leader. I'm sorry, I just need to
You
point
are,
that out.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Good,
I
and
wish
we
that
raise
had
again.
happened.
Now, this is beautiful. This is beautiful because look, Andy's got you beat. But you've raised so rarely, you can open up. Wizard, you got nothing.
You
You
got
got
nothing.
nothing. Andy, however, he's got something. He's got you beat, but he doesn't have enough to call. This has got, I think, much less to do with your earlier reputation, although that kicks in a little bit here, but more to do with now is the time that you can get aggressive. Four-handed. Say it with me, folks. Four-handed. This is aggression time because Andy wants to make the money.
I want to make
This
the
is
money.
where you harvest chips.
Yeah.
And we just raised there with Queen 8, which you wouldn't have touched with a barge pole for the first 4 or 5 levels, and Andy can't do anything about it. He's got nothing.
You got nothing.
Come on, you're Italian. You go to...
Nah. He's got a nothing.
That's beautiful.
It's terrible. My grandmother would be ashamed.
Well, I don't think so. Fold it around to Wizard.
Yeah.
And you're still chip leader, unless I'm very much mistaken, and you got Ace Queen, so it's all looking up.
Ugh.
What happens here to make you...
That.
So he moves all in. What do you do? Fold? Raise? Moving all in is absolutely fine here, by the way, if that's what you do. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I wish I had.
Buttons just raised it. The all in or fold? Fold's not terrible.
I got scared.
I would raise all in, but the fold's not terrible.
Oh.
Oh, you do. You're just cool.
I got scared.
Well, listen, it doesn't matter because you have both these guys at chip, but it's a stupid point to know. Get into good habits of raising it all in.
Gotcha.
Oh.
But if I'd raised all in, though, I would have...
You didn't get scared. You did. You got scared. You didn't get scored. Yeah, you called. That wasn't getting scared.
No, but I was scared because I didn't go all in.
Oh, no. As it happened, it didn't matter because you had them both out-chipped, so it's irrelevant. But I always think it provides a good sign. I mean, the fact that it's irrelevant for Wizard in financial terms doesn't mean that it's not an emotional term. So you really want to isolate it because you don't want another caller, all right? And if there's any possibility of him sitting on the fence, the all-in makes it more convincing.
It's amazing how quickly things can turn around.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I was a chip leader 2 hands ago.
Yeah, well...
Well, can't dwell on these things, right?
No, I don't mean it like that. I mean that is the problem with the fast structure. One hand will continually change the chip leader.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't quite know how to handle it when I've got a big chip stack. I'm not quite sure how to handle it when I've got a small chip stack. I think I need more experience.
It's interesting watching you because there are mistakes.
Definitely.
But the point is, what are the gaps there? What are the gaps? It's like, as I said
what
before,
needs to be filled?
Where do you want to get to? Interestingly, by the way, there is a very interesting coaching technique called the GROW model. Write that word down, folks. GROW, and you'll see that it has 4 letters: G, R, O, and W. And the GROW model depends on doing this. What are your goal? Where do you want to get to? That's the G. G for goal. What's the reality? Where are you now? That's the R. R for reality. Okay. The difference between those two, the goal and the reality, creates a gap.
Yep.
Okay. Which needs to be filled, as you said. So we then say, right, what are the options? That's the O, options. What are the options available to us? Let's be really blue sky about this. Let's see no barriers or parameters. Let's just brainstorm what are the possible things that we can do about that. As we watch Beardy, we're certainly moving all in.
That was a silly move, but hey.
Just needs to call here.
I had no chance. I had no choice.
Oh,
I'd left in the big line, so,
you know. You're all in. Beardy has a no-brainer there. He's obviously
exactly.
tabling. He just needs to call for an extra couple of hundred. Got you beaten in terms of Queen 8. Doesn't need to hit anything. Hits his 8 for good measure, and you're out. But listen, don't worry.
It was a fun game. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot.
You played that good. You know, that move from the small blind that you made, that was a good move to make.
Okay.
But that was a really... That's the kind of move that's going to win you a tournament, okay? Because the cards become so much less relevant. Okay, so GROW, goals, reality, options, what are the wide variety of things you can do to close that gap, and then W for what, when, where, all right? In other words, plan. Yeah? Okay. So you go through the options, you don't evaluate it, you don't say that's a good idea, that's a bad idea, you just come up with lots of ideas. Okay. Yeah? And then the W is what are we going to do, what date are we going to do it by, who's going to be the witnesses, where are you going to do it, etc., etc. All right? And that's called the GROW model of coaching. It's about any kind of learning experience or any desire that you have to get from one place to another. What's your goal, what's your reality, what's the gap, what are your options in order to fill it, and then what's your plan?
I think that's probably some of the most helpful advice I've had, to be honest, to actually critically evaluate where I am, where I want to be, and figure out what the gaps are. And it's like you say, it's a very good question. What is the gap between you and I? What is that difference that needs to be, sorted out?
Experience can be, I mean, a good definition of experience, actually, experience and judgment are basically the categorization of what seems like chaos into compartments or anchors. And seeing patterns in the chaos and being able to establish that something that looks like chaos or a player, such as a player's play, is more likely to conform to this particular pattern. I mean, I spend my days training companies in various things, and 95% of my time is spent delivering a model. And here's the point about models, folks. Do you remember doing GCSE geography? Did you remember those 2 concentric circles? And the smaller one was what we call the CBD, or the Central Business District, and the outer one represented the suburbs. Not a single city in the world looks like that. 2 concentric circles. Not a single one. They have like long, thin CBDs that come out around the railroads and the arterial roads. The point is, it's a model. It's a model against which to judge reality, right? And in order to improve our play, we need good models against which to judge reality, and then we can compensate for the difference between real life and models, and that's when experience is pushed a step further. Okay,
it's interesting that you say that, because I'm actually reading a book right now called Blink, and it's talking about... Have you read it? And talking about the... see, I should have guessed that you would have read that. It talks about poker players, not... the entire book, but it talks about, how would you explain this? How you make snap judgments and the mechanism by which we do make them and how quickly we make them in like 2 seconds, 4 seconds. And they were testing poker players with different decks where they had to draw from the cards. And one deck, they would more often win, but win small. And the other deck, they would win very rarely, but when they did, they won quite big. And they were trying to see which one...
The Ire experiment? Is that the Ire
that must have been it, yeah. And if they chose from the big win deck, then they would more often actually lose. And in the long run, they would lose because they would be losing more than they would be winning. But they could tell within a few, like say 10 draws, even though they couldn't articulate what they were doing. So you're right, it's difficult to articulate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about instinct, folks. Let's have a little chat about that, shall we, in the last part of the show?
Ooh, I think we should do that. A little chat about instinct, and you can tell us what you think as well.
Said on the art of poker.
Absolutely. Okay, well, we're going to go to our last segment now. Ooh,
what are we going to talk about now?
Oh, I don't know.
It's exciting.
Let's see. And here we go, our last little 5-minute segment
We have no interviewee.
I know, exactly, because we don't have an interviewee tonight, which is unfortunate, but I'm sure they will rectify that for tomorrow night. So don't worry, if that's your favourite bit of the programme, it's coming back. But personally, I think this is my favourite bit of the programme now.
Waffle.
Yes.
The waffle break.
I like it, because we are relating it to poker, so it's not entirely spurious.
Well, absolutely. So I've talked in the earlier waffle breaks about what motivated me to become a professional poker player. And it was, in a way, the launch pad was Big Deal by Tony Holden. So Kerry and I were thinking, what other things motivate you to go and do things in life, make massive life changes? Kerry, you've made some massive life changes in your life.
I
You've
have
moved,
done.
you've changed jobs,
That's
careers, all
true.
sorts of things. What motivates you to do that?
Oh, I'm going to give you a really, probably a bit of sad, trite one first. Because a lot of people who watch the show know that I used to be a martial artist. I used to train as a Muay Thai, as a Thai fighter. I did 6 fights. I won 4 of them, which I think is pretty good. I lost the first 2. I won the last 4, so that's not bad. But getting into martial arts, what really motivated me to do that was growing up with martial arts films and fight films. So it's the same sort of thing. I mean, you see people, I admired them. I think Jackie Chan has always been a real hero of mine, which I know probably sounds quite sad. And the next one I'm going to say, you're going to cringe. I think Joss Whedon is a fantastic writer. And
Why would I
growing up...
He's an astonishing writer.
I think he is. And growing up, I watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I loved it. And I saw her, you know, kicking some proverbial butt and thinking, you know, I'd really like to be that strong. And so that's why I actually started going to the gym and training as a fighter, realized I was horrible at it. I was absolutely crap, which inspired me to work even harder, at which point I became very good. I was all-city champion, actually, at one point before I moved here, so there you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Buffy.
Buffy herself. How sad is that?
How can anyone knock Joss Whedon as a writer? You know,
I think he's amazing. You know, he did the script polish on Toy Story.
No.
He did.
Did he really?
He really, really did. In fact, he says some of the best dialogue came from him, and he was really upset about, I think, Toy Story 2, because he wanted to be part of it, and then he decided not to, and then he realized how good it was, and he felt quite, you know, he was a bit, I think, ashamed that he stepped out.
Didn't want to be part of a sequel?
I think that was probably it, and then it was so good. And
Joss, it was better than the first one.
Exactly.
Oh, I don't know about that. You see, I don't know that. People do say that. For me, when they fly in the first one, it's a very beautiful scene.
Yeah, I don't like the little girl, cowgirl character. I just don't. I just think she's really irritating in the second one.
Yeah, I'm
Her
quite
voice
agree with you, actually.
Really irritates me.
Who does the voice?
I don't know. I'm not really sure. But I think he did say that they hit on that that sort of nuance of children growing up and that sort of bittersweetness in the second one a lot better than they did in the first one. There you go.
I'll tell you what I think.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to relate it back to poker now.
Okay.
See how I do this?
You do that so well.
I think when you've got someone like Joss Whedon who is doing something at the top of his game, no one can take away from Joss Whedon. It doesn't matter what you think of.
Even if Serenity was not very good.
Right, it doesn't matter.
That's true.
Actually, is that the film?
Yeah, from Firefly.
People love Serenity. Nick thought it was his favourite film last year. Empire related it. It was the best film of last year.
I know. Nick and I have had this conversation.
Have you really?
We have done. And I thought the fight scenes were amazing.
Amazing.
I thought the acting was a bit crap.
I haven't seen it. I do like the clip where the captain goes, "Do you want to take over this ship?" And the guy goes, "Yes, well, you can."
I know, exactly.
But anyone who's doing something at the top of their game like that, you have to give them respect, because I think there's a tendency for us to go, oh, you know, it's not, I don't personally like it, and therefore it's no good. The point is, something I say to my poor old staff, feel for them, remember they have to put up with me all the time, in my video production company, 21st Century Media, if anyone's interested. I say to them, you know, imagine a marathon.
Yeah.
Right? Now imagine the 25,000 runners. 3,000 of those are running for fun.
Right.
They're just, you know,
True.
running along. Probably 2,000 at the back in funny costumes, right? Of the 2,000 in the front, you know, about 1,800 of them are okay club runners. About 200 of them are, you know, decent, good club runners. And about 25 at the front are real pros. And about 4 of them have a chance of winning the race.
Yeah.
Literally about 4. And the question is, with you as a poker player, whatever you're doing in life, do you want to be one of those 4, or do you want to be one of the 22,000? That doesn't matter. I don't think it matters which one you are.
It doesn't really.
But you've got to make a decision. If you want to be a great poker player, you've got to step up to that plate. And imagine that if you want to take down the money every time, you've got to do what's necessary to get to be one of those 4, or one of those 25, or one of those top 200.
Eye of the tiger, or eye of the chaffinch, as Nick says to me whenever I'm playing poker.
He would say that.
He would say that. Right, now we are going to go for our last break here of the evening. We're going to be back, though, with lots more poker. Real poker, not, you know, spuriously related poker to other things. So stay tuned, because we will be right back.
Play well.
Hello, and welcome back to Poker Night Live. This is our last hour. Amazing. It's
Not ever.
Well, no, well, it could be. Difficult
We'd have
to
a
say,
party,
really.
we'd have streamers and things, wouldn't we?
Yes.
Not to celebrate, but to
commiserate.
yeah,
or,
like the last episode
commemorate.
of Seinfeld or something.
Yeah, no, I wasn't thinking the last night episode of Poker Night Live. I was thinking the last episode with us. Depends really on how it goes here. Anyways,
that was a bit of a slip there. You don't mean the last episode, you mean the last hour
the
of
last
this
hour,
episode.
yeah.
We're not actually going to be
forever
fired.
and ever. I'm hoping not. But we'll see. Anyways, hope you enjoyed our last little segment there on what
Certainly pushed it to the
motivates
line.
people. We kind of have, yeah. But if it's motivated you, this show in any way, and you want to let us know what you think about poker in general, or maybe let us know what actually does motivate you in your life, what pushes you forward, what gives you kind of that impetus to move on and do new and exciting things, as we were talking about in the last segment, then you can let us know by sending us an email or a text. And there you go. The number to text is 62211. And if you want to send the email, it'll come through to us here in the studio, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Or, of course, you can always have your say. Get your voice on the telly if that's what makes you happy. 0906 200 7080 and leave us a message, but it does cost a little bit, so make sure you ask permission from whoever pays the bill there. Right, we are on the last table, I think, for the multi-table tournament. Very exciting stuff. Massively exciting. I'm on the edge of my seat, so let's take a look at that now. The look on your face, it says excitement to me. There we go, we're 5-handed. This is a final table. So.
7-10, raising it up. I like it.
You like it a lot, huh?
No, I don't like it now I've seen the... Oh no, it's not, it's the big blind. Probably a bit tired, which means I'm going to go and talk about something interesting that happened during the break.
Okay.
Well, we had a conversation with one of our fantastic production team here.
We did.
Who was observing the fact that I'd eaten half a packet of biscuits during the course of the show.
Oh yes, of course,
And he said that his friend ate a huge packet of biscuits, or loads of packet of biscuits, yeah, at lunch when he was very young. Presumably felt quite queasy after having done it. And that put him off biscuits.
And his mother did say to him, if you ever eat more than 2, it will make you sick.
That's right. And he can't eat more than 2 biscuits. In fact, he has a problem if anyone has more than 2 biscuits.
It's quite funny.
Fans of Brewster's Millions will be familiar with this technique, because in the film Brewster's Millions, Brewster's uncle says that that's how he was put off smoking as a child, as he was locked in a room with loads and loads of cigarettes and cigars and wasn't allowed out until he finished them all. Now, please don't start writing in. It's just a film.
He's not advocating this.
He's not a real person, no. What's the point that we're making here?
Here's the point. Well, it's amazing how when you're a child, formative experiences can affect you for the rest of your life.
Good, excellent. And what kind of formative experiences?
Negative ones.
Good, or indeed positive ones, actually.
I suppose so.
But the point is the association of pleasure and pain to certain events, actually, you know what, doesn't even need to be when you're a child. We're more malleable when we're children.
Certainly.
Because there are fewer furrows or plough marks, as I tend to refer to them, in our minds at that age. Yeah? Fewer things have happened to us, we've had less sensory experiences, and therefore we're more receptive and open.
And everything seems bigger and more important at that age.
That's right, yes, absolutely. But it's more that if we haven't formed our associations at that age, then the associations are there to be formed.
Right.
Whereas later, then, once we've formed the associations, it needs a more emotionally effective experience to overcome the associations we've already made between an event and the pleasure and pain. Here's the relevance of all this guff, though, folks, and that is that if you start making associations between doing certain things and pain in poker, then you won't do those things, yeah? So if you make an association, sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes that teaches you not to play 7-5. Right? Because you realise over a period of time that you lose with 7-5, so you form an association between that and pain.
Yeah.
Okay? Sometimes, however, when you make a good play, like re-raising with queens or tens, and you get them run down 3 or 4 times in a row, just because that's the quirk of fate that happens, you start to become scared of re-raising with queens.
This is true. This is actually a question I raised about 3 weeks ago with the viewers. I had a couple of bad beats with the exact same hand.
Well, don't ask them.
Well, they didn't really answer, to be honest. I don't think they were watching.
Joking, I'm joking. I'm joking.
But no, that's exactly it. If you have that sort of run of bad luck with the same hand, how do you overcome that? How do you then teach yourself that it's not going to happen every time, it's just simply bad luck?
Well, sometimes you need to use your conscious mind, your conscious capabilities to override your emotional associations or anchors that you're forming.
Okay.
That's not easy. It's not easy at all, because usually in a battle of will and emotion, the emotion will win. All right? So you need to be very determined in order to win that battle, or win it in its own terms. In other words, create more emotional associations between the event that you want to reinforce and pleasure. All right? I mean, I've been training companies today, and you know, what's one of the things that companies want to do? They want to positively reinforce good behaviours. Let's have a look and see if he makes his flush. He does! Fruit bat, lives to fight another day, doubles through again. And he's now not quite got to 10 big blinds, but he's living and fighting. The reason why you get a pay rise and promotion and bonus for doing good things is because people, companies, want to create positive associations, and the feeling of being paid more money creates a positive association, only because it facilitates the purchase of things that are going to give you pleasure. All right, the money in the bank itself is not pleasurable. It's what you spend the money on, even if it's just saving it. You have a sense that...
Or it's the kudos that comes with it.
The kudos that comes with it, absolutely, but usually that's demonstrated through the conspicuous consumption, the buying of a Porsche, a new suit, what have you, treating your girlfriend to a hotel. Kerry, you may not value Porsches and new suits, and
not so
neither
much,
may
I'm
I,
afraid.
But certainly giving a good indication of the way to your heart there. What does it for you?
What does it for me? Kindness. Intelligence.
And do you know what? You don't need any money for that, do you?
No, you really don't.
Although it helps.
No, it doesn't help. I think it's to the detriment, but that's my personal
How about
opinion.
someone buys you a Porsche? That's kind.
No, I would never take it.
Really?
No.
I don't think you've ever driven a Porsche.
I've never driven a Porsche, but I would not take a car from anyone, thank you very much.
Wouldn't take a car?
No! Gosh, I can buy my own cars, thank you very much.
Fantastic.
I do not need people to give me things.
My dream girl, and I'm talking to someone whose last few girlfriends have been particularly materialistic.
Well, there you go. No, I think I'm so completely unmaterialistic that it's probably to my own detriment. But anyways, what you're saying.
For you.
Don't, you'll be starting all sorts of rumours now.
Yeah, I'll be joining the chat, yeah, absolutely. Oh, God, you can't say anything on this show, can you? Okay, what were we saying?
So positive reinforcement.
Create your own pleasurable associations between things.
Gotcha.
Okay, so understand what you should be doing and work to create pleasurable associations between those and... pleasurable associations to those things. And if that involves treating yourself on the occasions when you know that you play right, as opposed to the occasions when you know you've made money, bearing in mind when you play right, you have made money. Bearing in mind the thoughts of Daniel Negreanu on this, which were very effective for me and which have applications in all areas of life. If you make $40 an hour playing poker, and you have done for the last 6 hours, and you play poker for 10 hours, you just made $400. It doesn't matter whether you've won $2,000 or lost $2,000. Your expectation is that you've made $40. At the end of that next 6 months, hey, guess what? You'll have made another $40 an hour. Hopefully 50, because hopefully you'll have got better, right? But if you don't play ever, you won't make anything.
True.
Yeah. If you just play for 10 hours and you happen to win $2,000, fine, you can quit there. Understand, when you go back to the table, you could lose that whole $2,000.
Yeah.
But it's only by playing for 10 hours a day for the 6 months that you will once again make the $40 an hour.
Yeah.
That's called expectation. And you need, in poker and in life, to immunise yourself against your short-term results and start rewarding yourself for your long-term behaviours.
Okay, so I'm going to start playing poker with a bag of chocolate beside me on one side, maybe some buttons, and I'm going to put an elastic band on my wrist. And every time I do something silly, I'll snap the elastic band. Every time I do something good, I will feed myself a piece of chocolate.
Do you want to know how effective that will be?
I bet it would be incredibly effective.
I have no idea how effective that will be.
Actually, I quite think I might do that.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Just the one button, though, because we don't want, you know, quite an athletic body, don't want to spoil it.
Considering I ate 5 donuts on the show the other day with James.
Oh, I haven't had my last donut.
Oh, don't rub it in. He's got donuts and I have none. I don't know, maybe it got eaten. Someone ate it.
I feel quite stuffed, to be honest with you, Cara. I've had half a packet of biscuits and half a big bag of hula hoops and 2 Krispy Kreme donuts.
Oh, I don't know about that. Well, you see, you bring in the business world, which is interesting because it's another place to use those strategies. But as I used to be a teacher myself, we do the same thing in teaching. This is there's a theory of practice called assertive discipline, which is exactly the same. If you are consistently being negative towards a student because they're badly behaved or whatever it is, they will continue to act badly. If you not so much ignore the bad behavior as just simply focus on and reward the positive stuff,
extinguish
it's an amazing result.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they associate those good behaviours with what they really want, which is love, nourishment,
and attention. Absolutely true. So there you go. Oh.
We were having an interesting discussion today, actually, in my training session, which is what is the more effective method of reinforcement? Is it negative or positive? And I was saying, look, I can't tell you what's the most effective in terms of hour for hour, pound for pound. Could be negative in terms of if you're doing a business and you're looking at the bottom line.
I guess so, yeah.
But the important thing is a prerequisite to any kind of peak performance is self-belief. Bandura's self-efficacy theory. If you don't have self-belief, it's impossible to achieve peak performance.
Yep.
Look at a show like, for example, Hell's Kitchen with Gordon Ramsay.
Right.
Now, I know it was all fluffy television, but Gordon Ramsay, an astonishing boss, apparently has the lowest turnover rate of any restaurateur in London. Okay, and he will give immediate and negative and brutally direct feedback. Okay, but he couples that with continual building up of self-belief.
Right.
Yeah. He continually wants his team to feel that they can do it. He's just absolutely detailed and will tell them without fail when they're not doing it. But he doesn't mistake that for putting people down and letting them not feel they can do it. Okay. So when companies negatively reinforce because they believe that's the more efficient way of reinforcing, and by negatively reinforce, by the way, we mean using the stick rather than the carrot. If they do that and they lose the sense of self-belief that people have, then they've shot themselves in the foot, no matter how efficient they thought it was.
Absolutely true. So negative reinforcement does not have to be, it cannot be so negative that it destroys self-belief. If it is simply showing people that what they've done is wrong and making it quite clear when they've done something wrong, then that's actually a positive thing. Yeah,
and the reason we're talking about this in the third person, folks, in terms of teachers and bosses and all the rest of it, but we're talking about it really with reference to you in terms of extinguishing bad poker behaviours, because that's what it's all about, extinguishing the bad behaviours and propagating, encouraging the good behaviours. Someone once said to me of a golf game, they said, if you think about your best shots in golf, you know, they're as good as Nick Faldo. Because it was quite a long time ago when he was a good player. They said, getting better at golf is not about making your good shots better, it's about eliminating your bad shots.
That's very true.
And it's very true in poker as well. It's about eliminating your bad plays. So start creating negative pain associations with those bad plays.
Yeah. But, you know, be careful when you're doing it. No, it's only a game.
Elastic band's a great idea. Tiny electric shocks. Seriously. It'll work. Hey, you won't be calling from the small blind with King 8 anymore.
This is true. This is very true.
It's just like eating the biscuits. It's just like smoking, 600 cigarettes when you're 8 years old. You won't do it anymore because your brain will. I mean, that's what electroshock therapy was. Your brain goes, I ain't doing that because that is painful. And you might say, doesn't matter, you haven't got an electric band on your wrist now. No, I'm not doing it. In fact, deadly seriously, I can relate to all this. All this links. I lived in the Sahara for a long time when I was playing poker in Vegas. Loved the Sahara. And but I hated the Sahara because the doors gave me electric shocks. The door to my hotel room, I went through one 3-week period where I couldn't get in and out of my room without getting an electric shock. Yeah, seriously, couldn't do it, okay? This is sharing something very honest with you and the viewers here, but let's pretend that we're not on television talking to several thousand people.
Okay.
When I opened a door for a long time after that, I used to have to, which I still sometimes do, by the way, not all the time anymore, but I still sometimes do it. I used to have to touch the wood of the door first.
Right, to ground yourself, just in case.
Yes, to insulate myself before I touched the doorknob.
Huh.
I couldn't reach out directly for a doorknob because I reached out so many times for the doorknob and got shocked.
Yeah.
Your brain gets trained. It's so powerful, and you can do the same in poker. So everybody, go down to John Menzies, get your elastic bands, get them on your wrist, and start snapping.
It's not a bad piece of advice. Very Pavlovian. Because you're right, the brain's an incredibly powerful tool, and we don't actually try. Most of us don't train ourselves consciously. We don't use it as consciously as we can.
Absolutely. Ace Queen for Swan Lee, and King Queen for Carp Catcher. And Swan Lee may have cost himself some money there, because he would quite have liked the call from Carp Catcher, but he ain't going to get it with that big bet. 6 times the big blind, leaving him with very little. I mean, at the end of the day, we may as well push in if we're going to leave ourselves with just a third of our stack, or a little more than a third of our stack. I wonder whether that's the kind of play that we want. Not sure. Not criticising you, Swan. Just thinking out loud more than anything.
King Queen from Fruitbat and 10 Jack from Pop 3y3. Is that how you'd say that?
Poppy.
Poppy? All right, Poppy.
Popeye.
Oh, it's Popeye. Of course it is. There we go. It's
Say
Popeye.
what you see. High cash raise. Mr. Chip smashing a hole into the ground.
And there we go. The blinds are at 2,000 and 4,000, which for Swanley is going to be pretty painful pretty soon, and Fruitbat as well. Ace King with Popeye there, and King Jack from Fruitbat, so on the button as well. You can see a bit of money changing hands here. And we are at the final 5 here as well for this multi-table tournament. And just to run down the prize money for you, top prize is going to get $701. Second prize, $446. Third prize is $293. Fourth prize, $204. And whoever goes out next, in fact, will get $153. And that's how the prizes rank up. And we have lost a few of our regular, the names that we know. I don't think any of them really made it into the money on this multi-table tournament. Carp Catcher just took down the pot there as well, and he's got 119,000 chips, so he's in a pretty good position. Right, well, King 8 with Swan Lee there. Is he going to make a stand with it? I think he might just do that. Up against 8-10 suited from Popeye, who throws it away.
Popeye with the bullets.
American Airlines. I know there's lots of names for that. I just can't think of any of them.
Aces.
Just a pair of aces, really. That'll do.
Raises it up. And I wonder if that's a time to slow play aces. I haven't really given that much thought, really. Aces in the small blind. Folded round here. Short-handed at this stage in the tournament. Do we want Fruitbat to try and steal it off us? Or do we not want to let Fruitbat get in cheaply? We've got a big stack, so... As James would say, doesn't matter which one we do, as long as we understand the consequences of it.
Although it's always nice to win.
Popeye raises it again, 2 times the big blind this time. Takes it down. Wonder if he showed his aces last time and is scaring people now. Remember Dave the Devilfish's #1 tip, folks, for heads-up play? I know we're not heads up, but... Oh, heavens! Aces, ace-jack, queens. Now, this will almost certainly not be believed, but unfortunately, no one's got anything to call him with. Nice play by Popeye there, actually, I thought. He's raised 3 times, three consecutive hands. And I kind of think that if he'd put in a 3 to 4 times big blind raise there, people might have thought it was standard, but by raising 2 times the big blind again, he almost looks like he's trying to capitalise on momentum.
Right.
Maybe not. Maybe some people would think, no, you know what? I think he's definitely loaded this time. He doesn't want to scare people off.
Yeah, that would be my thought.
Ray Cool pushes in with his king high, and Popeye doesn't have a call, and Ray Cool takes blinds, which are significant to him at this stage. He's less than the mentally significant 10 times the big blind level. Blinds are quite high, actually. 3-6 is quite high. This multi-table tournament's gone on longer than most.
Yeah, they're certainly battling it out here for the last 5 places.
And you can see that 2 times the big blind raise has become quite standard. A lot of people doing it. It's all the rage.
That's what the kids are doing nowadays.
Absolutely. I don't know anything about the kids these days.
Are they
still doing glue? That was very big when I was young.
Really?
When I was very young. When I was like 10.
Not that we're advocating it, obviously. It's
Definitely
dangerous,
not.
Dangerous thing. Just say no.
Unless you want to stick things together.
And then it's very useful, really.
Valuable.
Unless you prefer, sellotape, which is,
No, it's not.
a bit messier sometimes.
Well,
but
and things like aeroplane wings.
Oh yeah.
Rubbish.
I guess so. A bit messy.
Pair of 9s for Ray Cool. Raises it up. Carpy's thinking about it.
What to do?
Fairly sure now. When Carp's sitting there, what's Ray Cool got? Has he got aces? No. Has he got kings? No. I'm not saying definitely, but we're discounting the strong likelihood.
Okay.
Yeah? Would he go all in with ace king? He might do. He might do. Would he go all in with queens? Yes, he very much might do. Would he go all in with jacks? Yes. It's the kind of hand that players go all in with. Would he go all in with ace jack? Yes. Enough of those hands are beating king queen for Carp Catcher to lay it down. Because basically Carp Catcher, at best, is going to be a 45% underdog.
Okay.
Yeah? Because he's not going to do it with king jack, is he?
No.
Yeah? Not going to do it with king 10. The best that Carp Catcher can hope for is that he's doing it with a lower pair.
Yeah.
All right? So that's using our reading to try and understand what kind of situation are we in here. Now, it's quite an obvious example, but we're just starting by saying, what basket of hands can we put him on?
That second level of poker thinking. Not just what I have, but what do they have?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I know you're right to call it second level, but it's so important. I don't even like to think of it as that because it suggests it's something you should graduate onto. My feeling about poker is that you should try and do everything from the beginning, basically, instead of trying to do a few things well. Because when you introduce the other things, your brain, talking about grooves in your brain, has already created the grooves. Oh, Popeye flops the flush, and then some, and then goes further. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, straight flush. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, jack queen. Oh my god, that's the first time I've ever seen that.
Wow.
We didn't even grab it.
Wow.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, jack queen of clubs. First time I've ever seen a 7 card straight flush.
That's incredible. I've never seen one.
No.
Wow.
Just thinking about telling my grandchildren. They won't care.
No, they really won't. I remember the time when I saw...
Can we get a screen grab? Can we go back in time? Can we... We're going to get it, folks.
Beautiful.
Stay tuned. You can deal it out at any time, of course, but we're going to see it live on screen. Well, recorded on
Poker
screen.
history.
Next best thing.
Well,
it is. Poker
10
history in the
seconds.
making. How many times have we seen that
Well
on
done,
the television?
Popeye. Now he's going to tell his grandchildren
Well,
about
he
that.
should tell his grandchildren, definitely. Definitely.
That's
I hope it
pretty
actually
impressive.
was, and I didn't hallucinate it. It was a 7 card straight flush, wasn't it?
I believe it
6,
was,
7, 8,
yeah.
9, 10, jack. Great.
Hopefully we can see that again, just to make sure.
Yes, let's check. 2 people with 10-3 here. Only one's in the big blind.
So I suppose in the small blind, that's another good point. Throw it away. Difficult to play from the small blind. This is one thing that I'm going to keep in mind. Queens for Carp Catcher. We've gone 3 times a big blind there from Fruit Bat.
Oh.
What? Ooh. Nice there. Playing 4-handed now.
Do you think I sounded like Kif from Futurama there? Oh.
Ray Cool goes all in with Ace 10.
Do you know, I haven't watched Futurama for ages.
No, I haven't either. I haven't watched
got the complete
television
set.
for ages.
I'm sit down and watch it, yeah.
I do. I really like Futurama.
Oh, I think it's brilliant.
Bigger fan of Family Guy.
Yes,
myself.
Me too. Got the complete Family Guy as well.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. But those two, I think they're so underrated. Futurama has always lived in the shadow of The Simpsons.
Oh, definitely.
And I think it's just as smart, just as funny. It's stuff like, I think probably the first 7 or 8 episodes were a bit weak.
Well, yeah. They were trying to make their impact, and they were, you know, kind of all over the place.
Oh, I love
Building character.
I love Kif.
See, building character. Perfect. We've had an email through from Craig, aka Mackenzie Wolf.
Cool.
Yeah, he says, "Hey, yeah, guys, great show as usual." Well, thank you. It's nice to know. Have you been watching the same show that we're doing? I'm just a question.
It's been a mess.
Sure. It has been kind of a mess. He says, "Don't beat yourself up about accidentally folding the King's Care. I remember a time I folded 4 of a kind kings because I forgot I was playing a speed game and the software folded me before I could decide what to raise."
I remember his email actually on the very subject.
Ouch. Kiss, kiss. It happens, I suppose. Anyways, keep up the good work. Oh, thanks, Craig. I appreciate that. I did feel pretty stupid, so I appreciate the nice email. Thank you. I think we might not be able to see the straight flush, but it's just a thought there. Then again, we might be able to see it later. Hard to say, really. You just have to keep watching. It's building the suspense. Right, so we're playing 4-handed now, and it was obviously Swanley who went out 5th and took home $153, and now it's a fight for who goes out 4th, or who doesn't go out 4th, more likely. And Carp Catcher goes, puts in a 3 times the big blind there with a pair of 8s. Oh, not so much there in those hands. Every once in a while you get a round where there just isn't anything in the starting hands. And whoever is last just takes the blinds. Not a bad position to be in there for Carp Catcher. 9,000 chips, just like that, for nothing. Basically nothing. You back with us, Kif?
Yep.
Good to know, good to know. Well, again, not so much there. That's the thing, you're playing short-handed. You just don't get to see that many great hands.
What about the last line of the Untouchables, eh? They say they're thinking of making alcohol legal again. What would you do then? I think I'd have a drink. That's a beautiful last line.
It is a beautiful last
line. That's
line.
up there.
I wonder who wrote that.
Who wrote the Untouchables? I know exactly who wrote the Untouchables.
Who did?
David Mamet.
Really? Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Fantastic writer.
Yeah, that's why it's such a beautiful last line. Never give up. Never give up until the fight is won.
It's a lovely line.
It's actually an extraordinary screenplay, isn't it?
Saying goodbye to Ray Cool.
And I'll be honest with you, it meant out more with a whimper than with a bang.
He kind of did.
You know, it didn't really do it for me, that.
No, but he did take home $204.
Oh, that's cool.
For
That's
$10
cool. It wasn't that it wasn't bad play.
rate.
It just wasn't very dramatic, I don't think.
I think
Looking
for the drama.
Maybe someone could introduce some sort of fighting mechanism in poker. I don't know, some sort of violence. What do you think?
I think it'd be an interesting added feature. I think, what, like...
well, you'd do well, wouldn't you?
I would do as well.
Could you do that ultimate fighting thing? Could you do that? Could you get in a cage and...
No, a friend of mine is
kicks.
actually, I am very good with kicks, but it's mostly grappling, which is like submission fighting, judo type of thing.
What is?
Ultimate fighting is. A lot of friends of mine are ultimate fighters. Actually,
well, you've got friends doing everything.
I do.
Friends composing for films, friends ultimate fighters.
I say.
Why
Well, I'm in a
is
film
that?
at the moment with the old world champion ultimate fighting Ian the Machine Freeman. He'd be so pleased that I said his name on telly.
In the Machine?
Ian the Machine.
Ian the Machine.
Yeah, he now commentates for Cage Rage, which is the ultimate fighting show on, I think, Eurosport or something.
You wouldn't want to be in a machine, would you?
No, it depends on the machine. In a machine all the time when you're riding a car.
Not if it was the machine in Terminator.
Ooh,
the compressor that finally kills him.
That's
you wouldn't
true.
want to get stuck in that machine.
Ouch.
Whether you were Ian or anyone else, even Ian would get crushed.
He would do. Although it would take a little longer because he's a massive person.
Is he? Well, he probably couldn't get in the machine in the first place.
No,
then.
Probably wouldn't.
Probably very badly named.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
I don't believe that.
Uh-huh.
Your friend wrote Parenthood.
Parenthood? My friend didn't write Parenthood.
No, but what's his name?
Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon wrote
I know.
Parenthood.
I can see that.
Oh no, is that a TV program, Parenthood? Or is that the writer?
Oh no, it does look like it's a TV program.
It's a shame.
It is a shame.
4 to the straight flush for Cart Catcher. Popeye has the better hand at the moment. Got the power of the ace, but doesn't have a call. I remember the first time that I saw those things being played out on Poker Night Live, my very first show, and I thought it was absolutely fascinating how often the worst hand took it down by being in a better situation. Worst hand, better situation. That's interesting, isn't it?
Sure it is. You know, another friend of mine is the animator that did the Angel character in the, what is it, that's just coming out, X-Men 3.
But you're showing off now.
I am. Well, it's not me that's doing all these things.
How do you know all these people?
Oh, just through various film work.
It's the film industry, isn't it?
Everyone
God,
knows
it's
everyone.
incestuous.
Isn't it, though?
Horrible.
It's great.
Disgusting.
Do I disgust you?
Yeah.
Pardon me, Cass. Pardon me. I do apologise. Oh, look at that. Ace, ace, 10 on the flop.
Yeah, neither of them got anything. So
But they're all wishing they had an ace.
Little Cart Catchers, 2 of diamonds. Doesn't even get a chance to make a flush. Popeye bullying everyone. More of a blue toe at the moment.
Huh?
It's all right.
Don't stretch myself.
No, just don't ever say "ha" like that again.
Why? Is it common?
No, you just really put me down.
Oh, no, I'm just curious. I don't know what you're saying. Don't cry, Cass. Oh, no.
Very enamoured by your quaint English ways.
I'm not quaint or English. You're
No,
English and quaint.
I'm speaking as you. Anyway, Cart Catcher has pushed all in. Fruitbat has called with a pair of 7s, and much to Fruitbat's delight, has won that hand, leaving poor old Carpy with less than the big blind. So he's got a push here. Oh, and he's best. Look at that. So this looks horrible if you're Cart Catcher. Look, there's 2 people in the pot, the big blind, and someone's just made a 2 times big blind raise. So we could have forgiven him for calling, but he is actually better. He's hit his 8, so Fruitbat needs a jack or a queen. Doesn't come. So Cart Catcher trebles through in one hand. Lovely, good, fantastic.
Very nice.
That little commentary might have saved me my job.
I'm hoping. Because if you go down,
Right, you're not coming with me, are you?
I'm hoping
don't
not.
pretend to have any solidarity.
Well, no, I'm just hoping they don't drag me down with you. You're a legend. In your own lunchtime,
I think they were writing leg end. I think they were saying I'm a foot.
Oh.
I'm not. 5'8". I'm just sitting down. Fruitbat raises up with a pair of 5s. Ooh.
Would you look at this?
It's like fireworks, isn't it? That's would be if we could let off fireworks sometime and then there's an all-in.
I like that.
Oh, Popeye's going to take this. Poor old Carpy.
Oh.
3rd, no shame in that.
No, nearly $300. That's not so bad.
Absolutely.
Not so bad.
How near to $300?
$7 away.
$7 away.
$293 he takes.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Not
and
bad.
now it's a battle out. Battle of the Titans. Clash of the giants here. Fruitbat and Popeye. Oh, an ace versus an ace. Don't get that often in heads-up play. They're probably both hoping to see an ace. Let's see. Fruit Bats got a pair with an ace kicker, beating Popeye, who has nothing, really.
Yeah, it's an interesting hand, this, watching it do it. I mean, Popeye made a massive bet there. Fruit Bats just put in 2 times raise with third pair. That was a very interesting hand. I don't know what to say about that, really. Well, because it's one of those situations which is either great play or awful play, but it's the aggression of heads up. So, well done, guys.
Yeah, well done. I'm going to read through an email.
I'm going to keep an eye on the game.
Yes, you do that. While we're going through the heads-up portion of our multi-table tournament. This is an email from Tony, and Tony says, "Hi guys, great show. I've been watching for a few weeks now and listening to your comments and taking it all in. Been playing for about 5 months, and I started in free rolls to start with to learn the ropes, which is a great idea, Tony."
Raised up 64,000 from Popeye and takes it down. Carry on.
Right. I now play sit-and-go games, which I enjoy, but the low games with an entry of $1 or £1 are just like a free roll. People are so loose with chips, and often you get outdrawn on the river, or done on the river. So I played a little bit higher, $3 or £3, and sometimes £5 sit-and-goes, and I finish in the first 3 regularly. When do you think it's time to move up? I suppose, really, Tony, it's when you feel that you're ready to move up, and I've heard the commentators say so many times that you should play at a level where you're comfortable, where you're not too scared to put in 3 times the big blind because it's so much money or so much of your chip stack. What would you say, Cass? Is that fair?
Is he playing tournaments there, the £1 buy-ins, or are they 3? Are they?
He says he was playing for £1 buy-ins at sit-and-go tournaments, but he just thought they were like free rolls.
Hang on, Popeye has moved all in. Wow.
Wow, with 4/8.
God, I'm completely gobsmacked. We'll come back to that email. Let's just watch a little bit more of this playing out, because these 2 guys are playing very aggressive, super aggressive poker. That's too aggressive, basically. That's the kind of thing that we do when we've had a little bit too much to drink. because it's just too little in the pot there to win from the off.
All right. So for the risk that he's taking to be out of the tournament, it wasn't worth it.
I think so. I mean, effectively, he's only betting 100, of course, because Fruit Bat's only got 100. But oh heavens!
Whoa!
So exciting!
Whoa!
Ace 5, Ace Jack, and down it goes.
Wow.
Well, that was very interesting. That was an interesting heads up, and there's not much you can often say about heads up there, but because there didn't seem to be anything to get into their mindsets of it. It seemed to be very aggressive and out of the blue, but there was obviously a narrative for them. But interesting. I mean, I think Popeye may even had a strategy there at the end of moving all in there to try and elicit calls when he had the hand, but we just didn't see enough of it to see how that played out. But I'll tell you what I would like to see again.
Ooh, what would that be?
A 7-card straight flush.
I know, I'd love to see that. Can we see that? Let's do that.
He not only flopped a 5-card straight flush,
Whoa.
he then went on to win the tournament.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack Queen! Yeah. That's got to be unbelievably, incredibly rare.
I'm not sure actually what's rarer, having a 7-card straight flush or flopping a 5-card straight flush with a 1-gap suited connector.
Wow.
I didn't even see that he flopped a straight flush when it first came down. I was watching the hand at that point. Poor old Swan Lee, look, he flops 2 pairs. Probably fancied himself at that point.
I must have done, yeah.
Wow, well listen, well done, Popeye. Good play, good luck, good hands, rode it well. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being lucky in a tournament. The person who wins the tournament has got lucky. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. But you play it well and you extract the value from it.
Yep, luck and skill. Well done. So when we were watching the last bit of that game, I was reading out an email from Tony asking when is the right time to move up in stakes in the games that you're playing. And I was saying that it's probably when you feel comfortable. If you feel like you're playing at too small a level, where the blinds are actually, maybe you're doing 7 or 8 times the big blind because you don't think it's very much money, well then you should move up, perhaps. Or if you're playing at a game that's too big for you and you're getting too nervous about playing for the amounts or the stakes that you're playing, then maybe you should move down.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Is it when you feel comfortable, or is it when you feel you're beating the game, or is it when it actually makes sense in terms of your household budget? Because, if you're a footballer on 50 grand a week, then what would be the point of playing a $1, $2 game? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You probably lose money in a 100, 200 game, but would that be the right game to play in? I said earlier on tonight, Tony, that I don't think there's much difference between a $5, £5 sit and go and a 10. So if you're regularly finishing the first 3 in those games, then I would move up. No doubt about it. And let us know how you do. Let us know how you do. And I would say that I don't even think there's much problem moving up to a 20 from there. There is a difference between 10 and 20, of course there is, but I don't think that it really starts to kick in until 30, personally. The only thing I don't know really there is how much people give credit for when it changes to pounds. Right. Because I'm very simple, and I would just look at £30 and I would think of it as $30.
You just look at the number, but it is actually quite a big difference.
Yeah, it is. It's massive. It's like a $50. I don't know the answers to those questions, but I'd like to hear them if people have the answers.
Yep, cool. Do let us know. Okay, another email here. This one's from Simon. Simon says, first-time viewer, guys, and really insightful stuff.
I can't believe you can say that tonight.
I'm glad that he's... thank you very much, Simon. Nice to have you here on the show. If you're a first-time viewer, then I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Do come back on another night.
It's just a lie.
It'll be much, much different. Can you tell me the best way to play my home game with friends who really are poor and tend to call more often than not and pick up lucky flops? Is it really sitting tight and waiting to take them out when I have a top hand? Advice very welcome. Thanks very much. And that's from Simon. Simon, your friends, they must love you because they're poor and you want to take their money. That's very nice.
I think it means poor players.
Oh, poor players. Okay.
I hope so.
Because I was going to say, my friends are poor and I want to learn how to fleece them.
Yeah.
So, not a bad thing.
Well,
I'm just saying.
You know, Simon, my thinking on this is developing. It's a work in progress, as all poker thinking should be, because, you know, there was a time when I would say, as you said, just sit tight and take them down, they'll call you down. Remember that email from Rob with the system, which we're going to hear from again, actually, in just a minute. Fascinating second email. Where if you only play tight hands, then they'll get frustrated and they'll try and call you and outdraw you. That's true, but actually in a home game what happens is when people are really all joshing and bantering, when they start pointing at you and saying, oh, you're really tight, and you don't get many calls when you've got the good hands, yeah? So you then start raising up, and then you then start raising up with 7-4 to try and mix it up to get calls with the good hands, and then you suddenly start to stop and you look at yourself and you say, actually, you know, what's the difference between me and them?
True.
What's the difference? The interesting thing about players like them is that they are playing what some would consider to be a good game. They're playing an aggressive game which is mixed up. Yeah, I don't mean, I mean, you know, they're mixing up their play. So I'm wondering whether in actual fact you need to start calling much more often in order to see the cheap flops, particularly when they're unraised, and start extracting your implied odds on the flop and outplaying them on the flop. I don't know. I don't know. And I say this completely honestly because he says, can you play out of position? Oh no, that's a different email.
Yeah, different email.
I personally have erred on the side of doing what I said before, which is playing a few hands so that you don't get pointed at and laughed at, but effectively playing good, solid poker. But I'm wondering whether you should start to play a little bit more like I would play the early stages of a sit and go. That is calling a lot more often in late position, as long as it's not a really wild and crazy home game. If it's really wild and crazy and the player's playing a maniacs, then basically what you're going to be doing is playing like them. And effectively that means very often re-raising big raisers. That's what you've got to do. You've got to re-raise big raisers when you've got the goods. So if someone makes a massive bet, you've actually got to re-raise them with jacks. Because if these guys are betting all the time, you've got to understand that jacks probably has a good expectation. Because if they'll do that with king 9, again, you're in that situation where you're going to win that hand 70% of the time. But as we always say, folks, if you did that massive re-raise with jacks and he called you with king 9, you must understand that you did the right thing and not be scared of doing it again in the future. Pain mustn't avert you to doing the right thing. Yes,
have a chocolate button. Teach yourself that it was all right, even though you lost, and all will be well.
The chocolate button.
You give the nice technical advice. I give the, you know, practical, down to earth
kind of stuff. The end of my career.
Oh, stop it.
That's another email.
Okay, this one's from Dave. Dave says, hi guys, could you give me some advice on playing in short-handed games? I've been playing in $1 and $2 games. What kind of starting hands should I play? Can you play out of position? I found that the games are much quicker and it's easier to get sucked into big pots than on full tables. Any suggestions? And that's from Dave.
Hi Dave. Let me just say, a $1, $2 short-handed game is it's quite a big game, you know, and I'm sure you're fine and relaxed about it, and that's great, and I know you're asking me just for, you know, a bit of advice. I wouldn't play in that game unless you feel 100% confident. I really wouldn't. I know you've got to play in at some point. You've got to, you know, pay for your lessons in poker. But I find a $1, $2 game is a really quite aggressive, short-handed game is a really aggressive, fast game, which involves a lot of judgment. And what I mean by that is that the fewer players that you have at a table, the more judgment kicks in, particularly when you're deep stacked. In other words, you've got a lot of blinds in your stack. Can you play out of position? Yes, and indeed you have to. I tend to categorise those games in one of two forms, and I've said this many times when it comes to short-handed play in tournaments as well. The equity that you get from knocking someone out is obviously not the same. You know, you're not looking for that in the same way in tournaments. But you do want to ask yourself one key question, which is, are these players adopting the very aggressive loose approach, in which case it becomes correct actually to just become very passive, call with your good hands, fold your bad hands, don't feel any need to bet when you don't have it. In fact, never bluff, okay, because they'll just come over the top of your bluffs. Never bluff, but play solid poker and they'll just give you their money. They'll give you their money because whilst they'll take pots, they'll take those flops that you miss, when they miss it and they're still betting into it and you just call, they'll keep on betting you. You just call it once, they'll bet you again. You raise the turn, they don't want to lose face.
Yeah.
They'll just keep on moving all in. And of course, sometimes they'll have it when that happens, but they'll have it very rarely compared to you if you're playing just good, solid hands. So that's the first way. The second way is you say to yourself, are these players actually playing as if this is a full ring game and playing quite tight poker, in which case being aggressive, seizing the initiative is what counts. Remember I talked last night, if you were watching, about a player who had my number in a tournament that I played, and I tried to be aggressive with him and I lost it with him because every time I raised pre-flop he just called me, and when I missed the flop I checked and he bet out, and then when I bet and he raised me and I went all in, and I just didn't have a good enough hand to do that with. So that's the kind of player that you want to get, someone on your right who you can bully. And that's the second way to play those tournaments. But if you don't have someone on your right you can bully, and you know what, I'm going to say something now that's going to save you more money than almost anything else that I can say in poker combined, literally. If you feel bullied, get up. If you're feeling bullied, get up. Even if you're not, even if they've got cards, you are mentally affected, and you're not going to be playing your best, and B, your image is affected, and people are no longer going to give you any respect. But if you don't have cards, there's this male pride that kicks in, even to women, which is, I want to win my money back from them. Not other people, them I want to win my money back from. And that, I think, costs more people more money in poker. Effectively, it's tilt, of course. Again, it's not this, I'm just going to move all in. It's, I want to win it back from them. And you know what? You're not good enough. And there's no problem in saying that. I say that all the time in poker. I'm not good enough to win my money back from these people on this table, or I'm not playing well enough. Get up, move on. There are, how many tables are there in the poker universe?
10,254. Yeah,
okay, cool.
That's what I think anyways. Right, we have one last email.
Okay.
Now this is from Rob, who we have heard from before, not just tonight, but we've heard from him before on other nights as well. I'm going to read this, it's quite a long one again. It says, hi again, Caspar and Cara. With reference to the email asking whether my strategy works in higher limits, I've tried it at higher stakes and it does work. However, once you get to a big blind of $1, the difference becomes noticeable. When you do get called, it will not be with ace-9. More care has to be taken post-flop. I have bet a raggedy flop to find myself raised a few times. If it's a scary flop, for example 6, 7, 8, with a flush draw, my reply will depend on what I know about the player and how he has played in previous hands. If the flop is not scary, then I will usually re-raise and move a lot of chips in. A good player won't call without kings or aces. However, this play carries a high risk, and at this moment in time, my bankroll isn't comfortable with those kinds of plays. If you play with scared money, you will make incorrect decisions. Very good point you've made there, Rob. I don't really like this. In the lower stakes, up to a 50-cent blind, most of the money I win comes from my post-flop bet when I get called pre-flop. In these games, you will hardly ever get raised unless a player has the business. Most times they miss and lay it down. Also, I think that when you go up the levels, the players you meet tend to play the player. In the lower levels, they play the cards, and playing just the cards in poker isn't enough. Well, then you agree with Cass there, and me. I would like to play at higher levels, but first intend to build a very safe bankroll before I try it. Whether it would work as well, I have yet to find out, and to me, any test of less than 50,000 hands wouldn't be conclusive. So far, my main test is that is at 5-cent and 10-cent games. I hope to be moving up to 10-cent, 25-cent soon, and I'll keep you posted. Thanks for your well-respected views on this strategy, and I think that's a really small dig at the fact that Nick and I probably didn't give his emails enough time in the show last week, so I do apologise, Rob. We were a bit pressed for time, so there you go.
Also, probably Nick didn't understand them.
Shocking thing to say.
No, it's important to face up to...
Well, we didn't have all the information either. We were kind of pressing him to find out how much money he'd won and on a regular basis, and then we worked out the figures with only half the information, and it really didn't look like he was winning that much. So I do apologise.
Like I said, they didn't understand it.
No.
And I would say, Rob, that I do understand it, and I think it's brilliant. And I really like, I can see out the corner of my eye. Do you know what, you look really different on the monitor.
Do I?
I've been looking on the monitor, you look really attractive.
You're so funny. I'm so glad this is your last show ever.
Rob, great email, and thank you very much indeed for sharing that with us. And folks, this is what the show is all about. Please, please, please share your thoughts with us, your experiences. You're not going to be losing money to the people that you share them with. You gain from creating a poker community that benefits together. So thank you very much indeed for your generosity. And I look forward to my next show, whenever that might be. Yes, whenever that might be. So make sure that you do tune in again tomorrow night, because we will be on with all new presenters and all new games. Thanks very much for joining us tonight.